I think that very few countries have gotten this right. And I think that the appalling thing, just from a U.S.-centric standpoint, is that we're exporting.
I don't know why that's not playing. Let's try it again. It's just
stop.
Pause. It's just no. This does not want to play for some reason. Oh boy, oh boy. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Smoker Show. I was gonna play the lovely Julie Wessner, but for some reason it's just not this.
I like swear I was this close to complimenting you on such a smooth start to the show. No freezing, no pausing, no locking up. And then it all just
nothing I can. It was beyond my control that video does not want to play. But hopefully I'll get it ready.
What is that?
It's a little 2-minute interview that Julie Wessner from 𝗀𝗃 did at the Nicotine Forum. But anyway, it's okay. I'll play it a little bit later. Welcome to another episode. Of course, this is the Smoker Show Season 2, Episode 3. Our telephone lines are open today, 215-383-5752. Press 1 when you hear the British lady speaking if you want to join and participate with any questions or comments for us or for our guest that we're going to introduce in just a little bit. But first, how you doing, Miss Phil?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. To all of the people who are wishing me well in the face of the hurricane, first of all, I sincerely appreciate that. But just to let everybody know, I am on the Gulf Coast, aka the West Coast of Florida. So we're really not getting anything from Hurricane Dorian. So, but thank you for all the well wishes out there. I certainly appreciate that.
Yes,
I'm doing good, Dimitri. Still on California time a little bit, which means I am wide awake, bing, 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 ready to go.
I can travel anywhere in the world, but I hate going to California. But this West Coast trip, because it's a short trip. But by the time you get there, you're 3 hours behind. So it always throws I'm always tired. I can't sleep when I'm there. I'd rather go to China, and I feel better than I do going to California. I went twice already in 10 days. That's enough. Enough California for me for the
Enough California for you. I want to welcome everybody who's coming in over from the SD Vapes show. Stick around because you're going to see SD Vapes on this show as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some little video interviews. Before we get started, introduce our guests, of course, let's thank our wonderful sponsors, Mr. Phil.
Our wonderful, terrific sponsors, including our friends over there at Inikin, who we do work very, very closely with on the platform products. Of course, Juno, Lunar Rover. If you use coupon code 𝗀𝗍 over at Lunar Rover, you are going to get 15% off of your order. MVS, my vapers store, use coupon code MTL10 to get 10% off of your platform, Inikin platform products order. Our friends over at 5 Pawns and Joytech as well. And Dimitri, we're kind of in the process right now of re-signing our sponsors for the year. And I'm very, very happy to report that although we've had some kind of move on and focus on the PMTA, which is going to take a lot of time and a lot of money, we have some re-signs, including Joytech right now and 5 Pawns.
Yes, and maybe a couple of you sponsors that have been waiting to get on board. So we're very, very excited, and we'll be announcing that over the next 3 or 4 weeks. But anyway, let's not waste any time. We have a very lovely guest on. By the way, I saw in one of those pictures behind you that you had a picture of Father Jack when we had him on the Vape Team show, and I think that was 5 years ago.
I did, and that's why I pulled that up.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it was 115 years ago. But Father Jack has taught addiction studies at various colleges and universities over the last 20 years. He is active in many roles, and he's currently a board member and commissioner for the Los Angeles County Commission on Alcohol and Other Drugs, and currently an instructor at the California State University in Fullerton. Good evening and welcome, Father Jack. How are you doing?
I'm just trying to do good and avoid evil. How about you?
Me too, but I'm stuck with Phil Bizarro all the time, so that's not a very easy proposition for me. And for those of you that don't know Father Jack, of course, is an avid vapor, an ex-smoker. So before we get to talking about some particular, we want to know a little bit more about you. But a lot of new faces here on YouTube, a lot of smokers that might be watching this show, obviously new people that are coming into the industry. So I think that for them to listen to your story and how you discovered vaping and switched to vaping is really, really interesting. So take it away.
Well, I'm like so many of us, I was a long time, 38-year pack and a half a day smoker. Tried everything to quit multiple times, including Botox, anything to quit. And nothing ever worked or stuck very long until one fateful day, somebody gave me an e-cig, old red dragons. Remember those?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. That really is.
I haven't touched cigarettes since. And my life was saved by people like you and others who tell the truth about vaping and quitting smoking. And God bless you. I'm honored as a AAA player just to be in the company of Hall of Famers like you guys.
Trust me, the honor is all ours, Father Jack. Did you think when
it really is too? I know, Dimitri, and you have a lot of follow-up questions.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it's really good to see Father Jack. For those of you who have never met or even know who Father Jack is, I mean, Father Jack has been around for a long time. This is not a new face to vaping by any means. I think I met Father Jack for the first time at either a Vapor Bash or a Vapor Con.
ECC.
No, I don't think that was the first time I met
really?
Father Jack.
Okay.
No, and I don't think you were with me the first time I met Father Jack either. So definitely a staple in the community for a long time now, and continuing to support vaping and do some special things that we're going to hear about on the show.
Yeah, I find it interesting, Father Jack, even with the equipment that we had back then, when you picked up the Dragon or moved on and tried a couple new better things out there when did it cross your mind that, good Lord, this product, could potentially change public health as we know it, over the next century?
Well, when I stayed off cigarettes and realized that this was a successful tool, that's when the light went on for me, and I became fascinated with the idea that not only could I quit smoking, but so could lots of other people.
Yeah.
People I knew and loved that were dying from this. And 80% of the clients that I have, people that go into addiction treatment, 80% are still to this day smokers. So plenty of work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Is your health better? I mean, do you? I mean, I know the FDA says that if you sell, you can't talk about the health benefits, but we certainly can talk about how it's influenced our personal health.
Oh, I certainly can. I've had these horrible symptoms like stopping coughing, tasting food, going upstairs without an elevator, all sorts of horrible effects from vaping. And
you
more money in my pocket.
Yeah, and more. Well, that depends on sometimes on how much you want to spend. But the truth be told is that I remember our conversation from VP Live when we had you on there on this. And it's so refreshing to see you still vaping and still spreading the word, God's word, and the vaping word as well too, because I think they're both important. But from your personal standpoint, being a smoker for that many years, that must fuel your passion even more. I can see, you understand what I'm saying? You smoked for a lot of years.
I sure did. And I remember one of my last attempts trying to quit and I relapsed. I remember sitting down and just crying, saying, I guess I'm destined to die from smoking.
Yeah.
I just hit that. In AA, they call it incomprehensible demoralization.
Mm-hmm.
And then miraculously, somebody offered me an e-cig, and of course, life's a miracle now.
Absolutely correct. By the way, if you are new to vaping or if you have any questions for Father Jack, feel free to call in 215-383-5752. We will be discussing a lot of issues, but I'm going to come back a little bit to what you do. You work obviously with addicts, you work in recovery clinics, and one of the things that I've noticed, because I have been in these facilities, believe it or not, I am a registered translator for the facility here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, in case somebody that speaks Greek is in there. And I've actually been
Good for
3
you.
times in this facility, twice for the same person that speaks Greek as a translator. And one thing that I did notice is immediately as soon as they go in there, they give them a patch immediately. Because both of these guys, they were Greek, obviously, they were both smokers. So I had a little discussion there kind of on the side. And the lady that was in charge of this particular section of the hospital told me that at least 90% of the people that come in with some form of addiction, yet it be heroin, opiates, or whatever it is, at least 90% smoke. That is
Absolutely.
Is that the case, really?
Well, 80 is probably a more accurate number nationwide, but that's still way higher than the average population. And the treatment community has a poor history of dealing with smoking. We used to tell people, that's the least of your problems. Don't even try to quit smoking now. It might even increase your chances of relapsing on alcohol or heroin.
Yeah.
We've since found out that people who quit smoking early in treatment actually have a 25% higher sobriety rate 5 years later. So it's kind of shows that we were wrong to do that, and that we should be focusing on helping people quit smoking at the same time we help them quit other drugs.
Yeah, and that was going to be my follow-up question. I mean, we're asking these people to come in and try to help them with a serious problem, but I think that the cigarette stigma is even. I've been blessed. I've never had to deal with drugs, me personally, in my life, but I can imagine that it's tough to come off. But I tell you what. Nothing in my life has been tougher than to quit smoking. So we're asking them, to come in for recovery and work on this issue. But at the same time, they were not. They were giving them patches, and we all know that these have just horrible success rates. So I think I would think as an addict, it would even piss me off more the fact that I can't smoke and you're giving me this patch, and at the same time I have to deal with my issue.
Well, it's absolutely a huge problem. There are forces of evil at work that are trying to get smoking banned at treatment centers, which would violate ethics, autonomy. People have the right to direct their own care. And there's no evidence that smoking makes it harder to quit heroin or anything like that. So that's one of the major battles we have to fight, is these health wackos that think they'll be helping people by prohibiting cigarettes. You're absolutely right. People just won't go into treatment. You mean I have to quit smoking too?
Right.
They're not going to come in.
Right.
It doesn't take much to discourage them. So we actually have treatment centers that allow vaping. I know of at least one that provides vaping supplies to the people in the treatment program. And I asked him what kind of success rate you getting with that. And he said, 80% quit smoking when we do that.
Wow.
80. So it completely reverses it.
Yes.
They actually give them the supplies and let them use it indoors during the meetings, all that stuff. And that's when the success rates goes up.
And you've been instrumental, along with I can't remember the name of the lady that you work with out there. I'm sorry, and I do apologize to her. We had her back on VP Live as well too. But you've been
Phelps,
yes, Dr. Phelps. You've been very instrumental in trying to get to pass this message around to the various recovery centers in California. How difficult is it from a law perspective? Because in some states, they've passed laws where it says, by the way, you can't vape in hospitals and you can't vape in schools, okay? And you can't. So it kind of grasps all of it, and then it becomes a situation where there's literally a law with no exceptions. How difficult has that been for you in that process of trying to change the mind of the people running these centers that this is a viable tool that can help not only obviously for the smoking, but obviously the other issues that the patient comes in with?
Well, just like with what you guys do, I try to find them with science. Studies have shown, I must say that 50 times a day, that this is an effective tool, and we have good reasons to do it. And one of the things I do is I go around doing workshops and staff and service trainings on smoking cessation and tobacco harm reduction. And one of them just filmed me doing it So I'm going to be releasing a video pretty soon on that.
Yeah.
It's an uphill battle because, as you have well pointed out, the people with all the money are the enemies.
Yeah.
And the day is coming when, oh, you allow vaping in your program? Well, maybe we're not going to pay for anybody's beds in there.
Yeah.
They're going to try that kind of nonsense to manipulate people and keep them from doing it. And they're going to kill people when they do that. So that's my main political thing, is to make sure that we normalize vaping. We have in a lot of ways. If you go to an AA meeting anywhere, a few years ago, you would have watched outside of the meeting and see clouds of smoke everywhere.
Yeah.
People smoking. Now you go to an AA meeting and people are still standing outside, but you see clouds of vapor instead.
Yeah.
So the bureaucrats and the politicians don't understand that in the real world, people are making the switch. Smokers are finding the right tool. They're just not getting the support they do, like in England, from Public Health England and places like that. So we have to keep fighting it. I know we lost that battle in New York, but we haven't lost it yet in California and most other places. So we'll keep fighting. As they say, 𝗃𝗽𝗲 𝗦𝗪𝗔𝗬𝗟𝗏 which is Latin for don't let the bastards grind you down. So
yeah.
it's got to be our motto here.
I definitely don't. I keep fighting for it. Without putting you on the spot, how influential is the pharmaceutical industry in your sector, and on this particular topic as well too? Because I think a lot of the smokers and the new people coming into this industry, or even vapers themselves, don't understand how influential the pharmaceutical sector is, especially in this topic, which is a multi-billion-dollar. I mean, treating tobacco-related illnesses in the United States has to be one of the top 5 most lucrative businesses for the pharmaceutical sector.
Well, all the enemies of vaping are the ones that are losing money.
Yeah.
Big tobacco, politicians, and big pharma. So I'll give you an example. I got kicked out of a group called the Association for Treatment of Tobacco Use and Dependency. A bunch of egghead university types who think they've got a mission to help people quit smoking. And of course, vaping is absolutely unacceptable to them. And I just annoyed the hell out of them. And one of the things that annoyed him most was when we had a little discussion about, somebody brought up the idea, if any member of this organization ever gets any money from a tobacco company, they should disclose that and should be absolutely transparent about that. And I said, absolutely yes. And the same thing should apply to the pharmaceutical industry. And that's when they went nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, because pharmaceutical industry, those are the good guys. They're the ones coming up with patches and gums and varenicline and all these wonderful things to help smokers. We shouldn't have to disclose the fact that we get donations from them or grant money.
Right.
Yeah. So it's that kind of attitude that we still got to fight, that people don't see big pharma as a money-making machine, just like tobacco companies are.
Yeah.
And they resist the idea of transparency, even though, of course, that's where they get their money. The American Lung Association, all these major
tobacco-free kids.
Donations.
Yeah. Major donations from the pharmaceutical industry. Absolutely. And doctors themselves as well, too. Let's not kid ourselves. A lot of these pharmaceutical reps with a big breast that walk in there and buy everybody lunch and other kind of other influential measures to make sure that they're pushing their drug of choice of the week or whatever they're trying to sell. Let's shift it a little bit. I don't want to get too depressing. And Phil, jump in here anytime. How do you approach? Smokers, and we're hoping more and more smokers watch the show, and you people are watching the show. So I want to give a different perspective on how do you approach somebody that's been smoking, and what would be some of the things that you would say, because especially in your field, when we're talking about addicts, there's so many things in their head. You don't want to overwhelm them with information about vaping. You don't want to like spend 2 hours and explain all the benefits. But what is your approach? What would you tell somebody that might be struggling or is on the fence right now, especially with all the bad media that we're getting, vaping with lung diseases and all that we're talking about? What was your approach to a smoker with vaping?
Well, what I do is I look for smokers. I know where they are. We all know where they are. Like at a wedding, I know where they're hiding. So if you remember, I'm kind of tall.
Very
Posing
tall.
a little bit, 6'6".
Yes.
So I go up to him and I look very sternly at him and I said, "Don't you know that's a sin?" And they look at me and they feel guilty and yes, father, yes, father. And then I say, unless you can't get married, of course. And then I pull out my vape and start vaping.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of breaks the ice. They laugh a little bit. And then I reach in my pocket and I pull out an Enjoy, because I always carry them with me. Praise God, at ECC a couple of years ago, they had a couple thousand of them left over. And I got my hands on them. So I walk around and say, just open this, just try this right in front of me. Finish your cigarette, yeah, but then I want you to take a puff on this thing. And that's the advantage. They're pre-charged, they're ready to go. You just unwrap it and start vaping. And of course, the surprised look on their face is, well, that's not so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I give them a little card with a little information on it. My information, where to look on the internet, go to 𝗀𝗃, that sort of thing. And if they're still willing to listen, I say, okay, if you're willing to give this a try, go to a vape shop. Find it on Yelp. There's one very close to you. Go in there and sit at the vape bar and just keep trying different flavors. And when you find the right one, you'll know it. Your eyes will light up. And then that's where you start.
That's kind of like the approach that me and Phil take, right? I mean, that's why we do the smoker show, or when we do it live at events and stuff like that, Phil. I think giving somebody something that's a really good setup just to try really, really works.
Yeah, and I think it does. It needs to be a very good, satisfying product. That first drag needs to be something that they say, "Oh wow, there's something there." Of course, Father Jack does have some, additional powers that we don't have. When he gives that person that electronic cigarette, he can say it is a gift from God, right?
Yes.
He can also, I'm sure, Father Jack, I'm sure you could get rid of everybody's sins should they stay on the electronic cigarette, and promise them a direct route to heaven. I mean, these are all things that you can do that we can't.
Maybe we should
all that plus an exorcism if you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good. Maybe we should be ordained, Phil, and then we
should
can go to events with a full.
It's very interesting because Larry in the chat told me that I need to be on my best behavior because Father Jack is here. This is one of the reasons why Father Jack is so popular in the community, is because he can, excuse me, Father, please forgive me, but he can bust balls with the best of them. Yes. Okay. And he's a very, very down to earth person. Yes. You don't have to treat or talk to Dr. Doctor, but maybe he is a doctor. He should. Let's call him Dr. Jack. No, Father Jack. You don't have to treat him any differently. He's one of the community. And I think that's why he's so respected and so well liked. He's very, very approachable. And I love the work that he's doing here. I have a question because you mentioned that you have to sometimes give like information or you have to give studies. So even in the people that you're talking with, do you see hesitation when you talk about vaping? Do you see people being a little bit hesitant, like, oh, I heard this on the news and it's no good for me? What's your experience there?
Oh yeah, same as yours. I get the same response. Oh, that's just as bad as smoking and pneumonia and popcorn lung. And as long as they'll listen to me, I'll try and patiently explain to them, that's all nonsense, and that the preponderance of science overwhelmingly supports vaping as an and here's the key word I wish everybody would use, evidence-based tool for smoking cessation.
I love that.
When you go up against the public health extremists, their language is evidence-based, and it stops them in their tracks every time when they try and say there's not enough research and all that nonsense. No, you say just the opposite. There's plenty of research. We know pretty much how safe it is. It's not perfect. It's not safe. It's just 95% safer. And so as long as people will listen, we educate them and say, on the card, here's where you can get more research, e-cigarette research, Dr. Farsalinos, Taste My Juice, whatever. It's out there if you're willing to look, if you're willing to give it a try. Plus, I can invite people to the workshops I do. My main focus is I'm trying to get addiction counselors who I train to fully support the concept of tobacco harm reduction, because there's still a little resistance to that out there. But
sure.
And we're making progress.
Yeah, and Father, I do apologize that you were just forced to say "taste my juice" out loud in public. But
it's gonna be my new ringtone, by the way.
I'm sorry.
I said I apologize that you were just forced to say "taste my juice" in public. We heard something very, very interesting from Dr. Farsalinos just on the last Smoker Show about that 95% number, and that's something that I want to continue to talk about, because some people will say, well, that 95% number came out years ago and it doesn't apply anymore. They need to update that number. Truth be told, the Royal College of Physicians continues to test emissions from electronic cigarettes. It's not like they did it once and they're not revisiting it. They continue to do testing with electronic cigarettes, and they have never changed that number. So that number, as legitimate as it was when it was first published, it's still very, very legitimate today. So we should
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's terrific, and I think that's really important to know.
Thank you for pointing that out, because that's the case. It's good science and it's consistent science, and they would change that number if there really was any evidence to change it.
Right. Yeah. Have you seen a positive switch?
Dr. Farsalinos was right. If it really could or should be higher than 95, that's the conservative.
That is the conservative side.
Yes.
Do you feel that we've shifted a little bit the narrative, even if it's just small, Father Jack? I mean, from your experience, you've been doing this since 12, I think. Do you feel like within your field, obviously, do you feel like we've seen a little bit of a change of heart? That there is, even if it's just a little bit, we're getting a little bit more support from the medical community.
I know it's changed in my field. The organization I work with that accredits colleges and university addiction studies programs, we've come out with support for tobacco harm reduction, using e-cigs to help people quit smoking. That was a major breakthrough. We condemned, basically, that other organization I was talking about, the ivory tower folks who came up with an ethical mandate that if you're going to be a smoking cessation counselor, you can't use any tobacco products, including vaping. And if you do, then you have to stop counseling until you quit vaping.
Mm-hmm.
And so I turned myself in for an ethics violation.
Yeah.
Just trying to press the issue. They wouldn't violate me on that. They kicked me out for other reasons.
Yeah.
But I keep pushing and pushing and pushing that idea that the truth is just the opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to be encouraging this. You got to understand this concept of harm reduction, which is still a little controversial. It's kind of like politics and religion.
Yeah.
But little by little, we're making some progress. I'm at least getting people asking me questions back, asking for the research studies, asking for more information.
Yeah.
Maybe even changing the rules and allowing people to vape So little by little, at least
Yeah.
in my little niche, and I'm just one little piece of this process, but I think an important one.
Sure,
So,
but a very important one. It is a very, very important one. The telephone lines are open 215-383-5752. If you have any questions or comments for Father Jack or for us, feel free
or
to
if
call in.
anybody wants to get married, 'cause I do weddings.
It is wedding season now, and Father Jack has a few dates opening. What would be more cool than
drugs and
vapors?
weddings, that's all I do.
What would be more cool than to have a vape wedding with a vape pastor? I think that would be fantastic. All right, I want to shift gears a little bit here. If you don't know, Father Jack does have a video that he put up 6 years ago, which is still relevant today, even more so today than it was back. You look a little bit younger there, Father Jack.
I'll bet.
There's no such thing as an addiction to electronic cigarettes, and who would know better than you, because you are an addiction specialist. And I really want to focus a little bit on explaining to smokers or new vapors or even existing vapors as us the difference between what we call addiction and what we call dependence. All right, and especially now with the Juul that is out there, with the high milligram nicotine salt that we're seeing out there, which is a great tool to get people to quit smoking. Don't get me wrong by any means. But we are seeing a lot of reports, and we're seeing these media stories and these ambulance chasers putting these kids on blast saying, I was addicted to Juul and it put me in the hospital, right? We're seeing these headlines blast all over. So let's touch a little bit on the addiction to electronic cigarettes.
Yeah, well, what they are calling addiction doesn't meet the medical criteria for addiction. The gold standard there is the American Society for Addiction Medicine. And they have a very long full-page definition, but it boils down to addiction being persistent use despite negative consequences. And as Dr. 𝗀𝗪 used to say, well, if there ain't no negative consequences, there ain't no addiction. So when I smoked cigarettes, definitely addiction. Persistent use, absolutely. I couldn't get up in the middle of the night, go to the bathroom without lighting up a cigarette. But, and plenty of negative consequences, coughing, horrible health consequences, that sort of thing. But none of that's true with vaping.
Mm-hmm.
People who have negative consequences to vaping stop. If you're sensitive to PG or something, you just stop.
Yeah.
Cigarette smokers just keep right on going. That's the difference. So dependency, yeah, you can be dependent on a drug without being addicted to it, and you can be addicted to a drug without being dependent on it. Mm-hmm. And dependency just means, hey, when you stop, there's withdrawal symptoms. Your brain punishes you for stopping, and that would be true of caffeine. A lot of us experience those caffeine headaches if we don't have a cup of coffee by 11 a.m., Phil. But that's not addiction, because you're not robbing Starbucks to get your supply, are you?
Right.
No, there's no negative consequences, but definitely dependency. So methamphetamine, which is probably the biggest drug scourge going on now, actually doesn't really produce much dependency. Plenty of addiction, but not dependency. So we have to distinguish those two things. And in the end, truth be told, a mild dependency on a mild stimulant like caffeine or nicotine, for people that aren't pregnant or have heart conditions, it's actually pretty harmless.
Yes.
And there are no negative consequences. So just because you're dependent doesn't mean you're an addict.
Yeah.
And we can joke about caffeine junkies, but in reality, there's no such thing as a caffeine junkie.
Yeah.
Because like if you drink too much coffee, you stop.
Yeah.
Easy. Addicts would just say, no, I'm not getting enough.
Yeah.
And do more.
Yeah. And
So,
by the way, just
huge difference.
for the industry here, this video has 8,500 views. If this was a video of the newest and the greatest atomizer by whoever, this would have had 100,000 views. So to me, it's really, really important to be able to share this and get it out there. This is the stuff that should be viral, honestly, and not this kid that's claiming Juul and they're using a picture of somebody else that was in an accident just to have Trump. Because this happened today. There was a kid that they posted that went to the hospital for Juul, and the pictures was actually a girl that was in a car accident like 3 or 4 months ago, and the mother saw the pictures and called them out. This is how bad the media frenzy has gotten over this. I mean, the over-exaggerism and the propaganda against vaping is tremendous, and it takes people like us to get off our asses and stop waiting for somebody else to do it. We need to get out there and share videos like that and educate the public, and it's really disheartening sometimes for the efforts that we're trying to do.
Yeah,
I agree. We need 𝗃𝗵𝗲 to do there's no such thing as addiction to electronic cigarettes.
Yeah. Well,
that would get the views.
Yeah, trust me, it would not get the views, Father Jack.
I got to show shiny, fancy stuff. That's the only thing that gets the views these days. But I did take a note here, and I want to talk to you about it because I thought this was really interesting, and I want to get your perspective on it. You talked about negative consequences, and you said that if people they try vaping and they have a negative consequence, like maybe they're allergic to PG, they just stop, right? But the interesting thing is that every smoker out there has gone through negative consequences when it comes to smoking. And what am I talking about? When they picked up their very first cigarette, and this is something I talk about a lot, they coughed and they hacked and they choked, and it wasn't necessarily a really good experience, right? But what did they do? They took another drag, and then they had another cigarette, and then they had another pack, and before you know it, they're a smoker, and all of the negative consequences they got used to, they went away. Right. What I find very interesting is that as they're smoking and as they're doing something that's deadly to them, when they try vaping, if they cough a little bit, oh, I don't like this because I cough. They don't give that at least 95% safer method of getting their nicotine, all of the chances, and deal with all of the negative consequences that they did when they started smoking. And I find that really, really interesting.
Yeah, because we don't reinforce the idea that, maybe that first drag you're going to take, because the way you're doing it, the fact that you're not used to doing it that way, the fact that you're not inhaling it exactly like you would a cigarette, so they cough, and that's quickly an excuse to go back to what's most comforting, which is tobacco. So that's why your videos are so important, because you can tell people, okay, first time you try it, it might be a rough first few puffs, but give it a chance. It will get better, it will get easier, and if you stick to it, you're going to find you're not going to buy cigarettes anymore.
Yeah. And
your life will change in magical ways if you give it a chance. And that's where your ability to educate is critical.
Yeah. I do want to bring this up that Father Jack, for those of you that don't know, does just a tremendous amount of work out there in California, stacked up against all the odds, because California is one of the worst states against vaping right now, second to, or probably first to New York, but they're competing on which one is going to take the cake on it. But for those of you that don't know, Father Jack does a great work with providing liquid and setups for people that are in these centers for them to get started and start vaping, especially people that are coming in for recovery that might not have a setup or a device and liquid and all that. So I'm just putting out a call out through our sponsors as well too. We're going to make sure to get some hardware and some liquid for Father Jack. But anybody that's a liquid manufacturer out there that you might have some product that you can't sell, or some product that's sitting, something that you mislabel, anything that you out there, or even if you just want to step up and help out, please get a hold of me or Phil, and I will provide you on where to send this product and help Father Jack make sure that it gets in the hands of people that need it. And it's something that can be obviously written off on your taxes as well too, and that shouldn't be really the reason why you should do it. You should do it because we're really doing something to help a man that is really spreading the word on harm reduction and possibly could change a few lives in California. I think it's just an amazing thing that you do, Father Jack.
Well, we're all doing our little part. And if you do Google "help a smoker in recovery," that's where the program is that has continued thanks to some wonderful support from 𝗀𝗃. And there's never any money involved. It's just a matter of taking donations and passing them out. And only looking for stuff that people aren't using, like leftover mislabeled products, any old mods, anything that might help another person that you don't have the ability to give to. I can do that. So thank you for that plug. It's just another way to help.
I can certainly help out there. We're also going to discuss that with Inikin and see if we can't get some gem pens your way too, because I think
that'd be great.
I think this would be a really good device for you to pass along. I certainly appreciate the work. Now, I have taken another note, and I would like to ask a question. Now, you talked about addiction versus a dependence, right?
Yes.
Would you say I was more addicted to or dependent on Dimitri? Which of the two would you say?
Well, having watched The Amazing Journey of You Two, I'd say that does fall into addiction. So.
Addiction, probably addiction. Yeah, but you also talk negative consequences. Right, negative consequences. Yeah, so definitely probably addiction. Yeah, I would agree.
By the way, I want to say something because Larry said something earlier, and I let it slide by, but I've been thinking about it. Larry said something about you being on your base behavior. But if Father Jack knew what Larry did in his previous life when he was in New York, I think Larry needs to be careful. What I'm not going to tell Father Jack, Larry.
Give Larry my number.
Yeah. Father Jack, if you could throw a little blessing Larry's way, I'm sure he could use that. Yeah, thank you.
I struggle with this addiction versus dependence thing all the time on a political level, because that's where my expertise is, talking to legislators and politicians. And every time the kid thing is brought up, Father Jack, I find myself either being looked at as a drug dealer, because I was called a drug dealer this year in Nashville at the state capitol, or I find myself trying to get across a point that just doesn't resonate with politicians, because I try to bring up, kids, they might be vaping, they might be experimenting with vaping. Who cares? I mean, in the face of what we have out there with drugs and meth, like you said, especially here in the South with meth, alcohol, how many people does alcohol and how many kids abuse alcohol in that early age? With everything that we have out there, to put so much focus and energy on stopping kids from vaping and removing the choices for adults to have a healthier lifestyle makes no sense. From a logical standpoint, makes no sense to me. So can you touch a little bit on this kid epidemic as a completely wrong word? That word should never have been used, by the way. And I think that you agree with me on what's happening with vaping.
Absolutely. Question I always bring up is, did you know that 63% of fifth graders have tried alcohol? That's the number. 63%.
That's crazy.
Now, does that mean we're facing a wild future of alcoholics that are in fifth grade? No. Right. Like all kids, they're experiment. They get up early and drink the bit of leftover from their dad's beer, whatever. That's not addiction. That's not alcoholism.
Right.
That's a normal adolescent fruit from the forbidden tree experimentation.
Yes.
So you're absolutely right. The real question is, how many of them do it on a regular basis?
Correct.
Something even approaching dependency. And that is way less than 2%. Mm-hmm. So when I say it was less than 2%, do you call that an epidemic?
Mm-hmm.
Hardly an epidemic.
Yeah.
What about, like you pointed out so well, what about alcohol? What about marijuana? What about what's really hurting kids? It ain't vaping. And you could ask them, if you knew your child was going to go out drinking tonight or vaping tonight, what would you prefer? Dad or mom?
Yeah.
And of course, anybody with even a bit of intellectual honesty would have to admit vaping would be preferable.
And you know, I think even there, though, I think we need to clarify, right? And I think that we need to clarify for the same reason why the CDC should have clarified. When we talk about vaping, we are talking about vaping in the traditional sense of vaping, the way me and Dimitri talk about it, for smoking cessation, okay? Nicotine replacement. We are not talking about vaping THC. We are not talking about vaping illegal black market cartridges. And I think this was a huge, huge problem that we just saw in the news, where this blanket statement of vaping was killing people and putting people in the hospital, right, was made, and it put the excuse the term, the fear of God in a lot of people, right? So we need to clearly make that distinction. And you know what Dimitri and I talk about is smoking cessation. We're talking about proven product. We're talking about product where you can buy it legally, right? And it's for nicotine replacement for no other reasons. We're not talking about CBD here. We're not talking about THC here, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would never give a vaping product to a non-smoker. Why would you want something like that? This is to help people quit smoking, period.
Yeah.
And if they can have a little bit of enjoyment doing it, then it's going to be more successful. So why not? And you're exactly right. This is from smokers, for smokers. Dr. Farsalinos and Han Lick should be nominated for the Nobel Prize of Medicine for saving so many lives. So I couldn't agree more with you.
Very, very powerful statement. You know, I use that argument sometimes, and, you know, I get that diplomatic political response. Well, we don't want him to do anything. We don't want him to do either. And it's so hard for me to hold back my true feelings. You know, the political game is completely different than, you know, my rants on Facebook or on YouTube, obviously. But I always get that same answer. Well, we don't want him to do anything. They're both bad. You know, and I think that we haven't been able to quantify, I think that's in general in the United States, the concept of harm reduction in a lot of ways. And not just in vaping. I think it's just not taught in our culture, or maybe in our schools, or maybe within our system. So it goes into a deeper meaning of harm reduction in multiple ways. You know, I try to bring up condoms. Sometimes that sticks with politicians. Sometimes it backfires on me. I try to bring the seatbelt thing up as well too, and all that. And they just, you know, seatbelt and nicotine is just, you know, for them is just completely.
Well, how about methadone or
yes,
something where we absolutely have proof that it has a positive net effect, even though it continues dependency, it stops addiction. I point out to him, hey, the reason your car was in your driveway this morning is because of methadone, because some heroin addict who was going to steal your car instead went to a clinic and got a dose of methadone, which isn't good for him at all, but it does keep him from robbing liquor stores and stealing your car and things like that. It reduces the harm. How about needle exchange?
Yeah.
How we're saving a ton of money from people getting HIV and hepatitis C and things like that, because we give them clean needles instead. The science is there, the proof is there, and who likes the idea of doing anything that might look like encouraging drug use? It's just better than the alternative.
Yeah,
it's just better.
Yeah, it really is.
Voltaire said, you know, perfection is the enemy of the good.
Yes. It's just that quote coming with that collar from you is so much more powerful than coming from me when I'm looking at a politician.
Oh, well, you can quote Voltaire yourself anytime.
Just a little bit more powerful.
You want to quote me, my famous line is, it was vaping or adultery. So vaping's a lot cheaper and safer. So.
No doubt there. And cheaper in the long run, especially if you're married. But I
have a solution, Dimitri.
Yeah, there you go. It looks good on you, Phil.
Father Phil.
That's scary, and also looks good on you as well too, if you think about it, you know?
You know, we got to get you a better collar, Phil, because if you do it right, they can kill ticks and fleas for up to 3 months.
Father Jack, on the overall scope of vaping, I'm going to ask you, and we've kept you long. We certainly appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. I know you do university and classes and everything and all that, so we certainly appreciate
I kind of
it.
retired from that. I'm doing more of the workshop things and the individual trainings and that, focusing that way.
And that's important as well too. I think passing on the knowledge to those coming in is very important. But the question I'm going to ask you, it's the same question that I asked Dr. F. In your experience in harm reduction, tobacco harm reduction especially, is there any reason why an adult smoker in 2019 that has tried the available methods of NRT and what's been provided by our wonderful government, is there any reason a smoker should not try vaping to quit smoking?
None, unless possibly they have a heart condition or they're pregnant.
Yeah. Which they shouldn't be smoking in that position as well too.
But there's no reason why doing it, and I wish I could remember where I saw this. Most people switch over to vaping, stop vaping in 18 months, I think was the average. Do you remember ever seeing that number?
I don't remember. No.
It does lead to a good end any way you look at it.
Yeah.
It greatly reduces the harm of tobacco smoke. It, as we know from personal experience, our health improves. We can taste food again, all the wonderful things that happen, just like when you quit smoking.
Yeah.
And there's no reason except these noble, I think they're like the people that are opposed to vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
Even tiny, small chance of harm means you shouldn't do it at all.
Yeah.
Better to get measles than possibly get harmful effects from a vaccine. It's that kind of quasi-religious kind of convictions people have. That's kind of what we're up against. They're just so entrenched that even a tiny risk of harm is unacceptable, which of course means people are going to die.
Yeah.
They'd rather see them die.
Yeah.
So we're up against that.
I just want on a personal note, I do want to mention something that, me and Phil have helped hundreds, if not thousands of people quit over the last 10 years. My experience with recovering addicts has been, and I've heard this a lot from them. Matt Bradley is one of them. Matt Bradley from The Deadliest Catch that also vapes and has stores. Jeff Donahue. My experience has been with him, and this is something that I think a lot of people don't think about. They have said that switching to vaping actually has helped with their addiction, especially those that got into the hobbyist side of vaping. Watching videos on YouTube, then messing around 2 hours building a coil and trying to perfect their vape. It kind of takes their mind off the other struggles that they're having, and it's actually helped in the recovery process of them getting away from whatever that substance was that was causing grief in their lives. And it's an important point that I think that needs to be talked about as well.
Yes. When we help people recover from addiction, we basically tell them two things. One is we got to detox you. We got to get that chemical out of your body. And then we got to teach you how to live without causing things that'll make you relapse, which basically the 𝗃𝗽𝗲𝗏 is stress management. That's the first thing. The second thing is people have relationships with drugs. Heroin addicts just have this amazing relationship with their needles and their cartridges and the ritual of injecting and all that. So one of the things that we find helpful is we say you need new relationships. The primary one that we teach is spiritual. You need a higher power, you need God, whatever works for you. You need friends that are also recovering. And then along those same lines, if you can get involved in an activity that, like you did when you were using drugs, that involves maybe a little experimenting, a little fiddling, a little trying different things where you get a reward for that, exactly what you were talking about there, Dimitri. that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So your friends that told you this were right. You're right, because things like that help maintain long-term recovery. So
Yes.
vaping, I absolutely seeing the same thing you have, and seeing them become vapers and then in turn try and help newcomers is a wonderful, miraculous thing to see.
Yeah.
So when they
really
come to
is.
me and say, hey, you got any more juice for the boys back in the treatment center, because they're doing the exact same thing. They want to share the miracle, and that's all part of recovery. Yeah, exactly.
That's fantastic. Phil?
That's it. I mean, I certainly appreciate the information that Father Jack has given us on the work that he does. I guess I just have two questions before we let you go. First of all, should we be interested in doing a show where Dimitri and I want to confess all of our sins? Would you be available for a 5-hour show? That's the first question. The second question: should anything happen to our marital status, and Dimitri wanted to take it, Dimitri and I wanted to take it to the next level, do you do same-sex marriages? So those are my two questions for you, Doctor.
Well, absolutely. I would do a same-sex marriage for you two. It'd have to be in California, because we are in California. But I have a church in Laguna Beach, which is perfect for guys like you.
Sounds beautiful.
And 5 hours for the first segment might be a good start. Yeah. In recovery, we do a thing called fourth and fifth step, where you have to list and then read to another human being the exact nature of your wrongs. I'd say 5 hours is always a good start for most people.
Especially for Phil's list, let me tell you that. It's good.
Get started. So no, but seriously though, thank you very much for joining us on the show. We are going to talk to Inikin about getting you some of the gem pens.
Well, gentlemen, you guys don't get enough thanks for the service you're doing in educating people, not just the technical stuff, but educating them about harm reduction. How many people have watched your shows and your videos and went out and tried it? How many unknown people have, how many lives have you saved through your great efforts? So you guys really are the all-stars, because you know how to use media, social media. You know how to get the message out. You do it with class, you do it with humor, except sometimes the technical stuff. That's okay. But I'm no genius there at all myself. So thank you on behalf of all the people over these years that have watched you, have listened to you, have been inspired by you. You have much more of an effect than you probably realize. And when people in Greece come up to you, or Paris and China, and thank you. Remember, that's just the tip of the iceberg for the lives you touched. And you put so much time and energy into these shows, and super analyzing products, and honest impressions about what you like and don't like, thumbs up, thumbs down, all that stuff impacts not just us old fogey vapors, but new people as well. So God bless you for your love of smokers.
Thank you, Father Jack. That is an honor coming from you.
Thank you so much.
And I hope Larry appreciates that.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to Larry.
We'll get you in touch with Larry. He has a lot of issues. All right, Father Jack, we appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing you again, hopefully sometime soon, and we'll catch up. And yes, Father Jack is a very tall man, very, very, very tall man. I was really surprised the first time that I met him, but how, overpowering he is. So that's a good thing, and it's a great introduction to smokers. So once again, if you have liquid, if you're a liquid manufacturer, please get a hold of me and Phil, and we'll direct you to the proper channels on how to get in touch with Father Jack in order to help more people try vaping, which this is what the Smoker Show is all about, right? Thank you very much, Father Jack.
All
Thank
right,
you so
God
much,
bless.
Father Jack. Thank you.
There he goes, everybody. Well, that was such a flashback. I remember the first time that I had Father Jack on the show. Man, that was just absolutely great. Do me a favor, go to his channel on YouTube and share his videos. A lot of great knowledge there, a lot of great information, and we certainly would appreciate if you guys would spread the word, especially that there is no such thing as an addiction to electronic cigarette. That's something that we should be, spreading the word out there so the right information reaches the public that's out there that's has a big misconception on what electronic cigarettes are. Anyway, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. That was pretty amazing, Phil. I mean, it was good to see Father Jack, but once again, the purpose of having these guests, and we've hit you with 3 guests beginning season 2 of the 𝗧𝗵𝗲 Show, but I think it's really important so it doesn't get just us telling you the same thing over and over again, getting the perspective as we saw with Dr. F. Then we had a reviewer on that vaping has changed their life and they're trying to do their piece, and then having Father Jack. Go back and look at the older episodes, or send smokers to see the older episodes as well too, because there's a lot of people out there saying the same thing that we're saying, and that's vaping can save lives, man. And that's the absolute truth. You're muted. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Father Jack said some really wonderful things there. I mean, like virtually almost brought a tear to my eye. And I really wish that at times you would say some nice things about me too. It would be nice.
I do. I just don't do it in your presence because I don't want to go to your head.
Yeah.
But I always talk very highly. Let me just answer a couple questions in the chat, and then we're gonna move on to the second segment where we talk about ECC. We got some videos, we got some interviews set up for you. And talk about the event as well too. So, question from John Q: if vaping is classified as tobacco, why isn't ATF doing the regulations instead of the FDA? ATF is part of the equation of the regulations, but since it's deemed a tobacco product, the regulatory authority comes from the Food and Drug Administration, thanks to the Tobacco Control Act that was signed in 2009, which gives them authority over cigarettes and, of course, other products that they deem as tobacco, and they have decided to deem vaping as a tobacco product as well, too. ATF still handles that as well, too, but from an enforcement standpoint, not a regulatory. So that's the difference. ATF is the enforcement, the arm of the enforcement, but it's not the arm that regulates these products on the market. So I hope that answers your question, John Q. Here's a question for you, Phil. So I've had the smoke Nord, and one of the connecting posts just stopped making connection. That happens. Trust me, it's not the first one or the last one. Some of these cheap pods are really disposable. Don't think you're going to buy this. It's going to last you for a couple of years. Come to find out it was stuck. Will I have the same problem with the 𝗧𝗵𝗲?
No. Maybe.
Yeah, it could happen.
No, I mean, look, these devices are devices. That's what they are. They're devices. They have electrical connections in them. Sometimes electrical connections go bad. I can tell you one of the bonuses of the 𝗧𝗵𝗲, the Zylight, and the Zenith is with the Z coil. With the Z coil, every time you take a new Z coil and you replace it with or take an old Z coil and replace it with a new Z coil, what you do get is a fresh, clean, brandy new 510 connection.
Yeah.
Right. So that is one of the benefits of the design. But I mean, things going wrong is certainly something that can happen with any device. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, we were at ECC this past weekend. We went back after a few years of not attending the ECC, and boy, am I glad, Phil, that we decided to go. We got invited to do a presentation on the workshop. But yeah, Phil, I mean, your thoughts on ECC?
I was really impressed. And it was just such a complete turnaround from the last ECC that I attended. The quality of the show, the quality of the vendors that were there, it just seemed like it was a much more professional or professionally done event. It wasn't the circus that ECC became, and I was very happy to see that. I really was. Now the foot traffic was light, and I want to talk about the foot traffic, and I want to talk about other things that I saw with the show, because believe it or not, we're sticking up for a much different group now.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very fascinating.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You're going to hear more about that as we go on and talk more about the event.
Yeah. Quick 2 questions to answer. Cloudy Blows. Will there be an RBA deck for the Zenith tank? We are working on one. It's not ready yet.
Yeah, it's not ready yet. But remember that our primary RBA is the 𝗬𝗟𝗏s.
Yes.
Okay, and we are working hard on the 𝗬𝗟𝗏s too. We're very, very close to the final design now. I think Dimitris using it. We're going to have a meeting actually after the show to talk more about it and some other products that we're working on. So we're very, very close to the 𝗬𝗟𝗏s too. That is our primary rebuildable. Yes. That's where our focus is when it comes to rebuildables. And
we want to make sure if we do make an RBA for the Zenith that it does work because of the way that the system is with the auto shut off in Zenith, and it goes into the slide and the beep. There's a lot of varieties there that we have to make sure that it works, not just in one device, because our coils go into multiple devices, that it's able to be working with the rest of them. I buy nicotine from overseas. Will nicotine go off if I left it in the fridge? Go off? I'm assuming, yeah. I mean, you should put it in the freezer and it will last longer in the freezer if that's the question that you're asking. It will not. I mean, I think they're asking if it's going to go bad. I mean, eventually, but it'll be years. But yeah. You can buy.
Typically, what happens is the nicotine strength decreases.
Correct.
So it'll get darker, and instead of being a 20 milligram, it'll wind up being a 15 milligram.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen people put black tape around a bottle because you don't want to get it. You don't want sun degrades nicotine, so put it, tape it around or put it in in another container where you can put it in the freezer and it stays nice and cool and dark. Then that's going to extend its life as well.
No, it's very interesting because sun and light is the enemy of not only nicotine but e-liquids as well. That's why all e-liquids nowadays come in clear bottles, right?
Sun is the enemy of me. I lost my tan. I will hopefully go back to Greece next week and tan up a little bit. All right. There's another question. Final thoughts about the vaping epidemic that causes lung problems. It's been circulating around the world. Now, we talked about it in the last episode. If you want to go look in detail, but everything appears to be. Even the CDC came out with a statement yesterday that said illegal THC carts are causing these issues and not legal electronic cigarettes. So you can Google, if you have me on Twitter, you can look at the tweets that I've made out, and I've got a lot of articles, positive articles that explain exactly what has happened with these carts. Unfortunately, we don't have the media power to get out there and spread it like they spread their lies and their false information, but at least you can do your part. And when you see a bad story like that, go over there and post a link that explains exactly that illegal THC substances that are being filled in some of these street carts, as they call them, dank carts. If you see the word dank anywhere, stay away from it anyway, right?
There's some information that I posted up on Taste Your Juice too. There's a couple articles there. It's really interesting because they run around and dump horse shit all over the place, and then we gotta kind of shovel it up and clean it up. But the problem is their horse is giant and our shovels are tiny.
Yeah.
So it's quite the challenge too.
That's what she said. All right, so we've got a couple of videos here set up for you, Phil. What would you like me to start off with?
You know what? I'm going to start off with the first one because I kind of we're going to start off with the first one. That was brilliant, wasn't it?
That was brilliant.
Well, let's start off with the interview we did with that guy. Okay.
Yes.
Because here's what I want to say: the vaping industry, at many times, and we've seen this several times now, if not definitely 3 times at least, the vaping industry has a habit of leaving people out in favor of the current trend. Right?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're seeing right now. So let me give you a perfect example, or 2 perfect examples. Just a couple of years ago, well, let's say 2 or 3 years ago, when Dimitri and I walked around with our mouth-to-lung devices, okay, we were left out. A lot of you guys who were mouth-to-lung vapors were left out. You were left out by vaping. Maybe you had the monies to spend on some of the higher-end mouth-to-lung tanks because that's all that was available, or the Nautilus and like a handful of other affordable coil replaceable tanks, but mostly mouth to lung was RBAs, and they were expensive RBAs. So you would walk around the events and you would be totally left out. 0, 3, and 6 everywhere, nothing mouth to lung, no RBA, no RBAs for us. Now, the exact opposite is happening at the vape shows. The complete opposite. People who love 𝗬𝗵𝗲, people who love drippers, people who love direct lung are being completely left out of the vaping game. And it's so evident when you walk through these shows now, and all you see is like mouth to lung stuff and these little pods and these Orion alikes everywhere. That's like 90% of what we're seeing at shows. So it's really interesting that an entirely new group of people are being left out of vaping now. So why do we talk about this? And well, that's a good thing, right? Because Phil, you're mouth to lung, and now finally, like, vape shows are all about you. No. If that's what you believe, you got me wrong all these years, right? We talk about balance and how vaping should be all about balance. It should incorporate and include everybody, how everybody vapes and make everybody happy. But no, we get that wave, we get that trend, and we just ride it to the bitter end. And we forget about everybody else. And what we're seeing is and I'm hearing this more and more, we're hearing people complaining about vape events because they don't feel like they're included anymore. Dimitri, roll that interview.
All right, 𝗧𝗵𝗲 Show here, ECC 2019, and I'm here with, what's your name?
Gary?
So we've been to ECC. Is this your first ECC?
No, this is my 5th ECC.
Your 5th ECC. This is perfect. So this is actually perfect. This is what we want to talk about, seeing how the industry has changed, right? From what the shows used to be back in 2014, 2015 to what they are now. What's the biggest change for you?
There's not a lot of e-liquids this year.
Yeah.
There's a lot more salt nicks, there's a lot more CBD this year, and it's kind of, we got through everything done in like 2 hours, 3 hours yesterday.
See, that's really, really interesting. I asked you what you were vaping on. I see that you're a 𝗬𝗵𝗲, which is great. But do you feel like this show is catering to the way that you vape? Because, back in 2014, Why is it pausing?
What are you doing?
I didn't do anything. It just froze. Let me see why it's doing that. Let me see if I can do it again. Well, the player crashed. I guess that's one of the reasons why.
Player crashed.
Yeah. Just a second. I don't want to. Okay. Let's see if I brought it back again now.
Is it because of the resolution?
It shouldn't be. It looks like it's frozen. Hold on. Let me see.
Are you playing it off a Dropbox?
Yeah.
Copy them to your desktop and play them.
Okay. I want just a second. Let me get this back up. It's catering to the way that you vape. Because, back in 2014, 2015, we used to come, and me and Phil are mouth to lungers, right? And we used to come to ECC shows, and we couldn't find anything for us. It was 3 milligram and drippers and tanks, right? And now you walk around, and you barely see any vapor in the room, right?
Mm-hmm. It's very true. It's more catered to kind of salts now, more CBD now. There is some juice here and there, but it's kind of like lost that lacklusterness of it all.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're not finding what you want in a show, you get like a couple hours, you're done, you're going home. Where these shows used to be, you'd stay here for 2 days just to see everything. Right?
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, we got everything done in like 3 hours yesterday.
Yeah.
Now we're going back and we're trying to actually like find juices here and there that we like.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
It's interesting though because we feel like the industry is going to extremes. It's like all 3 milligram or all 50 milligram nic salt, and I believe that we need balance. I don't care how you vape, as long as you're not smoking, but you should be able to come into the show and find stuff that caters to you, caters to me, caters to your wife, caters to everybody.
It should be for everybody.
Yeah. So interesting observation that we had here for the 𝗧𝗵𝗲 Show, and we'll check out another interview. Yeah, that was very, very interesting to talk to that guy, and we wanted it to get a little bit more, but I think one was enough just to kind of give you an idea that if you did not vape 50 at this show, or if you didn't like hardware, because the hardware selection was a tons of hardware, but if you don't vape 50 or a pod, you probably could get through the show in 30 minutes.
Yeah, you absolutely. And, I see a lot of comments in the chat. First of all, to Jennifer, how dare you? Dimitri is not in Florida. Do not blame my network connection. Do not blame my Florida network connection on his pausing. Okay, that's number one. Number two, so people are talking about, well, like, okay, so now everything is mouth to lung, or a lot of stuff is mouth to lung now. So where's the 12 milligram e-liquid? That's an excellent question. That is such a good question.
Only one company at ECC had 12. Only one company had, and I'll give him a shout out because he's a nice guy. Eric's Vinyl and Vapor. This is the only company that had 12 milligram at the show. The only company, and unfortunately, he doesn't have tobaccos.
We found.
No. This is true. Yeah. This is the only company that had 12 milligram at the show. And unfortunately, he doesn't have tobaccos. And I'm going to tell you why. There was a guy there that came to our booth. One of the organizers brought him. His name was Sean. And I do want to give him a shout out. He had 2 pods hanging from his neck, 50 milligram one, 60 milligram the other one. And he's telling me, it's not really satisfying and I'm still smoking. So I brought him over to the booth and gave him an Adept kit. Adept kit. I keep saying an Adept kit with a slide tank. And I told Vin, I says, go find some 12 milligram to put in there. And there was no 12 milligram to be found for tobacco liquid. So he's going to take him to his shop where they have 12 milligram and give him a bottle of tobacco, 12 milligram, so he can get off cigarettes. But the truth is, again, we're talking about extremes, and extremes need to stop in our industry. Vaping works because there's a variety of devices and a variety of products. It can't be one or the other. Both propositions is the end of the vaping industry as we know it. Balance your shows, balance your products. Those are you exhibiting at shows, and stop with this marketing hype dragon that we're all chasing.
You said it. I can't agree with you more.
Let me give you a little. Okay, go ahead.
But I think because what's interesting too is I talk to a lot of people that don't like Saltnik. So clearly I'm not the only one, right? Yeah, Saltnik is very, very popular right now. We understand that, okay? But there are people out there that are still looking for that 12 milligram, that 14 milligram, that 18 milligram. I'm so tired of hearing there's no demand for it. Well, but it's almost like, okay, so you have a clothing store, right? And there's no demand for medium size. So you have small, large, and extra large.
Yeah.
So, like, why would you alienate everybody who wears a medium and not support those people and have that for those people who come in the store?
Totally
I just don't understand that. I don't understand the thinking behind that.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see. I think we're going to start to see more 12 milligram and more Freebase e-liquid make a comeback, and I hope I'm right. I
talked to a few influencers at the show, and I'm trying to get the hashtag make 12 milligram great again trending. I saw Eric posted it yesterday on his Instagram. I saw Turk posted on his Instagram as well to make 12 milligram great again. Because if I hear another person tell me, well, it's harsh, then why are we making 12 milligram salt nicotine? Why are we making 50 only? Why are we making 50? If 12 milligram is harsh, why don't you make 12 milligram salt? That's my question to you, because it's all bullshit, in my opinion. One of my highlights of the weekend was getting to meet this wonderful lady here, Phil. Cherry. We finally met Cherry, and she was just, you meet people sometimes, that online, and it was truly so heartwarming talking to Cherry and listening to her journey and her struggle and everything that she's gone through, issues that she's had with vaping as well too. And she's still toughing it out. She's still trying to stay off combustible cigarettes. And it was just amazing to get to meet her, I feel.
Cherry's terrific, man. She's such a sweetheart. And you know what? She is the most difficult person to like gift anything to. She won't accept anything.
She wouldn't take anything.
We literally had to force her to take something. So Cherry, we love you. It was really, really good to meet you, and we hope to run into you again at another show.
We're going to get a little walkthrough here from the ECC, and then we'll get to some interviews as well, too. But I do want a little walkthrough, and Phil will do a little commentary on top. I've copied these into my hard drive now, so we shouldn't have any.
Are they local now?
They're local now, yes.
All right, good. Let's hope. Come on, this way. Oh, there goes Dimitri running around. And I know you're going to have a little commentary here, too.
That 𝗃 device that they made, it looks just like a smoke device. Exact same thing. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing.
It's exactly the same
I
thing.
know it is. Well, that happens a lot. Chinese, right?
Of course, it happens all the time. So here we are. We're just kind of walking through the event.
I want to pause it right there real quick.
Okay, never
here,
mind,
let me pause it here. Just let me pause it
No,
right there.
No,
All right.
there.
What's missing from this picture, Phil?
I can tell you exactly what's missing from that picture. Well, there's actually two things that are missing from that picture. Okay, first of all, people.
Yeah.
Okay, people and vape. Where's all the vapor?
Yeah, there's no vapor. I posted a picture from the event on my Facebook, and people asked me if vaping was allowed. That's if you look at pictures from the ECC in 2014, literally you cannot see across the room, right? From people and from the vapor as well too. And now everybody with these pod devices, there was hardly any vapor noticeable in the room.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? And I think
really cool
that
they did. We shot the lab down in Orlando in virtual reality. So you can go over here and put the goggles on and look at the lab facility in virtual reality.
Look at this. Those two handsome devils right there.
Two handsome devils right
That's
there.
handsome right
you know, and that could be like, so when we talk about leaving people out, right? And when we talk about the trend that these shows are following now with a lot of pods and smaller devices, that could also be affecting foot traffic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people used to enjoy to go to these shows to blow their clouds and to show their high powered devices and maybe even cloud comps. I always said, like, look, I'm not a fan of cloud comps, but if you're going to do a cloud comp, it should be at a vape show, right? I mean, that's where you got to do a cloud comp.
Right.
So, when you're making this dramatic change to shows, all these people who used to love to go to shows for whatever reason, maybe you're alienating them at this point. I don't know.
Nobody should be excluded. Make vaping fun, right? There's a time and a place for a cloud comp. A show is a place and a time for a cloud comp. Have a variety of product for everybody to be happy, and everybody should be able to coexist and mingle and be happy with each other. I don't hate anybody because they sub-ohm. I find them that they're not smoking. That's the way that they prefer to do it.
We hate people because they're assholes, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's one good reason to hate somebody. If you're a douchebag, yes, that's a different story. But just because you sub-ohm doesn't make you a douchebag. So I think...
So we got a couple interviews to do, and I know we're as usual, we're running late.
Yeah.
So we were talking about 12 milligrams. So how about the Nick interview?
Yes, absolutely. We did get to see Mr. Grimm Green there, and very, very happy with a product that he's launching as well too. That's geared towards MTL, and it's funny to see again, even in a lot of the reviewers that are putting out product now. 2 years ago, it was just clouds, and now we're seeing a shift in that. And that's a great thing. I'm not criticizing that at all. I don't want people to think that I'm upset. I'm actually happy to see more of these devices come out. But I think one thing that I want to...
It's a little hypocritical.
Sometimes it's a little bit hypocritical, depending on who it is, because there are some people that we talked to that were a little bit hypocritical that told us a couple of years ago that the only way that they can stay off cigarettes is by sub-ohming. The only way that they can do it is with 3 milligram and sub-ohming, and now they're designing MTL devices or putting their name on an MTL device. And we don't have to say who that is. But what I want you to take away from Nick's interview, because we touched on this a lot, is 12 milligram nicotine. Show at the ECC 2019. I'm sitting here with my good buddy, Mr. Nick Grimm Green. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing very well, Dimitri. How are you doing?
I'm even better now that I've seen you. I'm gonna make a little Phil 𝗪𝗪𝗀 jealous,
Yeah, I'm all about it.
By the way, I know that you've been trying to mimic our bromance over the years, but I just want you to know that our bromance is at the top of our game.
Oh, okay. Is that how it is?
So you and your guys, you can try to compete, but
All right.
Nick, you were one of the original reviewers. You've helped a lot of people quit smoking. We've seen the trends, right? Everything is going full circle.
Yeah.
And the trend in 2019 and moving to 2020 is smaller devices, satisfying devices, right?
Yes. Smaller, satisfying devices, more accessible, easy to use, less confusing. That's where we're at right now.
So let's talk about your new device that you're going to be launching.
Yeah, we're doing the 𝗀𝗏 kit, and really the idea behind it is I wanted a pod that would vape the way I wanted it to vape, and so I had a huge part in dialing in the mouth to lung portion of it, which I feel is really critical, just for me, maybe for smokers and things like that as well. Dwayne did the mesh coil head for it, which is a little more of like a cloudy, lungy type of situation, but I just wanted something good, reliable, solid, very little fiddling, and you're just going to have a real good vape right out of the gate.
So here it is. Here's the device here. You have one in your pocket as well. You want to show your device?
Yeah, this is the Stormtrooper edition, white and
That's
black
so
and
cool.
white and black. It's nice and it feels nice. You know, we're not reinventing the wheel here. I just want something reliable. I want to put my name on something that people can depend on. And when they see the name Grimm Green in a vape shop, you go, that's a quality product.
You know what I like about it? You know, when we were in China in April for the show, everybody had like this Orion lookalikes. But this, you know, I like the way that you design the curves, so it doesn't like kind of look like everything that's out there on the market right now. It's about putting little touches, and of course the top feel is you know,
brilliant.
Absolutely.
It's super easy, super smart, and this isn't magnetic or anything. I mean, this is in here because I hate pods that are magnetic and fiddle and there's no play. I just wanted it to feel very secure, very stable, very reliable.
So, you know, this is the smoker show, obviously, so a lot of the people that are watching us are either new or they're looking to transition. Me and Phil for years have been 12 milligram proponents, even when we were called dinosaurs. So the ultimate test for us is, you know, you prefer Freebase over salt nicotine, don't you?
100%.
So
More than 100%.
How important do you think that 12 milligram is for somebody that's starting out, that needs that thump in the throat? They need that satisfaction that a cigarette gives them.
I love 12 mil. That's what I'm using in this right now. 12 milligram Freebase. It's my favorite way to mouth to lung. I find it intensely satisfying. And once you get to that 12, it's real easy to just 6, 3, whatever.
Absolutely,
Bye-bye.
absolutely.
And
I think that's one of the issues too when they're starting off with 50. I think it's great if you're somebody that needs a lot of nicotine, but if you get hooked on that 50, it's very hard to drop down.
It really is
And you know, between 2015 and 2018, we were telling people start at 18, go to 12, and it was working.
Yep, it
But now it seems like we went from 3 to 50.
Yeah, 50. And you know that 50 if a smoker is really satisfying.
Yeah.
It's instantly satisfying and you go, "Oh, okay." And then people just stay there.
Correct.
And we have to
bring them back.
Like, hey,
I said this the other day. Vaping is fun and it shouldn't be a task, and I feel like 50 milligrams is making it a task.
It is. Yes, that's a really good way to put it.
So we need to bring them back to where the fun part of vaping.
Yeah, come to the fun side.
Come over here with us.
Lower nicotine, we're having way more fun over here.
Absolutely. When will this going to be released, Nick?
We're looking towards the end of September.
And do you have a retail price point yet or anything close?
Not really right now.
Okay.
No vape budget hands needed.
$19.99.
Very affordable, very accessible.
Fantastic. And by the way, you get more percentage of this than Homeboy, I'm assuming, right? Just want to make sure, guys. All right, Nick. Well, always a pleasure to see you, and thank you for all these years that we've been friends, and we've helped a lot of people quit smoking, and you continue to do the same thing. And people that have not lost the direction, we have the utmost respect for.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dimitri.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on now, Gage. I'm gonna hold this. You hold this. Come over here. Take this over here. You got it? Okay. We still. Now, more importantly than all this vaping stuff, did you see the new Star Wars trailer?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right? It's
I don't
exciting.
even know what to think.
Okay.
I don't even know what to. Yeah, Evil C-3PO. Ray with
the red, right? Darth Ray.
Is that real?
Now,
is
do
that
you
a
remember?
vision?
Do you remember? Right, exactly right. I'm excited about. I didn't like the last movie. I know you liked the last movie. I still want to debate that with you at some point. But it doesn't matter. The Star Wars is still going to get my money, man, because I love Star Wars, right?
Yeah,
Did you go to the park? You went to the park already, too,
yes.
right?
Oh, yes.
Was it good?
It's pretty fun.
Did you enjoy it?
They
can't
did
wait to go.
a real good job. You fly the Millennium Falcon.
So you flew the Millennium Falcon. Was it amazing?
Well, I was a gunner, and then I was an engineer, but you have
So you did it twice. You had to do it twice.
It's so fun.
You did it at least twice.
At least twice. I want to do it way more.
Okay. So now, if you remember my prediction, we talked in Paris. This is probably, how many years ago was that? And I said Ray. Said Ray was somehow related to Palpatine. Remember that? You remember that? That was my prediction.
That was the first thing I thought of.
Did you really?
I was like, oh, Phil's going to be right, isn't he?
I hope so. I hope I am right, because I still don't think that she's just nobody. I think that was a curveball that we were throwing.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll find out. I'm excited to see it.
You never know.
And it's good to see you as always, buddy.
Always, Phil.
Okay?
Always good to see you.
And lots of luck with the new product, brother.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, Nick. All right.
Thank you, bro.
𝗬𝗏 has syphilis. Is it working? Yes, Mr. Broussardo.
Hey, listen, Mowgli, you can take those Z's and shove them right up your ass. Okay?
By the way, I do want to address a couple things in the chat that I saw.
There's a lot of stuff we got to address in the chat.
Yeah.
You do one, I'll do the other.
All right. Well, the first one that I saw is a comment that most of these pod devices are designed for salt nicotine. That is complete misconception. There are products on the market that do Freebase and do salt nicotine. Now, there are some devices that only work with salt nicotine because of the way that they're designed, right? Low power devices that are designed for high nicotine only. But there are other MTL products on the market that are designed for both, that you can vaporize both products in.
Yeah, I think the original comment was, is MTL for salt nic only? Not the pods, but is MTL for salt nic only? Absolutely, without a doubt, no, it's not. Like Dimitri said, some of the pods lower powered, they really don't satisfy until you get higher in Freebase nicotine strength, okay? That's where you want to focus on the salt nic. But no, MTL does not equal salt nic only. That's one thing. Now, I think the other one that you're going to talk about is, well, what does 48 milligram equate to in Freebase, right? Is that what the one you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
I thought so. So if something is 48 milligrams in salt, does that equate to 6 or 12 milligrams in Freebase? No, a milligram is a milligram is a milligram, okay? So if something is 50 milligram in salt, it would be completely equal to 50 milligram in Freebase. If something is 20 milligram in Freebase, and if it was a salt version of that, it would still be 20 milligrams of salt, okay? So there is no difference between salt and Freebase milligrams, okay? A milligram is a milligram when it comes to e-liquid.
Yes, absolutely. So the consumption is different. And I think this is something that high nic salt companies do a horrible job of explaining to new users, okay? Just because you vape 48 nicotine salt does not mean that you're getting less nicotine more quickly. You're getting a high dosage of nicotine, so your consumption should be titrated. You need to be careful how you're intaking, or you might get sick, you might get dizzy, you might get the nicotine sweats, as we call them, because 48 is 48. So if you're using a high nic salt device, you need to have a different puff pattern than when you're using a lower nicotine solution, where if you go through the process of learn vaping, you'll know how much nicotine your body wants. That's one of the issues with that high nicotine salt nicotine, is that you don't feel it entering your body until sometimes it's too late, when you've had too much nicotine intake, because you don't feel it in your throat. So just be careful when you're doing that, and just titrate. You try to use high nicotine salt just like the same pattern as you did with your cigarette. Take it out, puff on it for 5 minutes, and then put it down. The beauty of lower milligram, and especially Freebase nicotine, is that you can enjoy your vaping through the day. And that's what
I'm going to also make a comment here to Pollcast. Don't beat me up, but salt nic gives me a head buzz, or good buzz. I like that. Well, I tell you what, so do the kids, and that's one of the reasons why we're in the heap of shit that we're in right now.
It's a problem. But look, I mean, I'm not going to criticize that comment. I think if that's the reason why you like it, it gives you a head rush or whatever, it is what it is. But I think that's one of the issues with the high nicotine salt with kids. It's not really nicotine intake. It is that it gives them a little buzz when they're vaping on it.
Yes.
All right, so let's move along. We got some more videos to play. Where do you want to move on to next, Phil?
Let's go. First of all, Jennifer, I see. Wait. Can I interrupt? Just type what you got to type, and I'll read it. And if it's something that we want to share, we'll share. Nic salt's delivered differently, so 18 satisfies like it's. I disagree with that, Jennifer.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I completely disagree with that. And here's why I disagree with that. Okay, nicotine is nicotine. Strength is strength. Okay, so if you were able to vape standard or Freebase liquid at 48 milligram, I have a feeling that it will give you the same exact sensation as a 48 milligram salt. That is something that I disagree with. We could take that up later on. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
absolutely.
Right,
I totally agree. The only difference, just one comment from me, is that 18 milligram will satisfy you more because it gives you the thump in the throat that a traditional cigarette gives you. In that sense of the word, yes, I think that it satisfies more than a 48 milligram that's so smooth that you don't feel it at all in your throat. So if you're a heavy smoker and you want that thump in your throat, that 18 milligram is going to provide you more satisfaction from a throat hit rather than just the intake of nicotine. By the way, since you mentioned Jennifer, I do want to mention that I finally got my hands on the liquids that you made me. So thank you very much. I will tell you right now that my favorite is the peach lemonade, right? The peach tea with lemonade out of the whole bunch. All of them are done excellent. I'm vaping all of them. I'm going to have them to vape them in Greece, so thank you very much. The one thing I will tell you is that your definition of menthol and my definition of menthol are completely different. The peach tea with lemonade, if it had more menthol inside, thankfully I can add some myself, would have been excellent. But you have a nice touch. I'll tell you that. For a DIYer, you make a really excellent liquid. And who knows, I might just come to you for a couple of recipes if we launch product in the EU. Unfortunately, here we have to use existing recipes, but in the EU, if we launch some product, I'll come to you because I think that they're done very well. And thank you very much for doing that. I certainly appreciate it.
She does. She makes some really, really good liquid. I'm like kind of hooked on her peach mango gummy right there.
Reggie's getting ready to use the oscilloscope back there.
Reggie's going to test some product back there.
So
and, no, I didn't spank Jennifer, not unless she wants me to. I didn't spank Jennifer. Just like you can disagree with. See, this is the problem with people these days.
Yeah.
Like you think because you disagree with somebody, you got to hate them or like, no, that's not like,
that.
Jennifer and I can have an intelligent conversation. We can disagree and we can agree, and that's okay.
And
that's
still love
okay,
each
folks.
other.
Believe it or not, that's okay.
Yeah. Where do you want to move on to next?
What else? Oh yeah, I saw another comment here. Angela said salt actually bothers my throat, and that's very interesting because and Dimitri will confirm this. I tried a couple of disposable pods with 50 milligram salt, Nick, and I coughed. I coughed like every single time, right? So that's just something that I'm not used to. It's a sensation that I'm not used to, which is interesting because I'm typically that's all I vape is standard or Freebase e-liquid and 12 milligram, and I have no problem. And yet I try 50 milligram salt and I start coughing. How crazy is that?
That's nuts.
Okay, let's go ahead. You have more comment, or do you want to hear from Scott?
No. You want to hear from Scott?
Let's hear from Scott.
It's another reviewer that is launching his own product, and this is Mr. ST Vapes, Scott Taylor.
Worth what, about $1,000 PayPal transfer
Per. Yeah,
now,
at least.
Now I got a question too. If we show every one of the Scott's colors, is that $1,000 per color?
We'll give him 10% discount.
10% discount on the
per.
Okay, per.
Yeah.
Let me take some colors off the table.
It's only available in stainless steel. Just say the announcer.
What if we actually show Scott in the video?
Oh God! Ooh.
That's
for how many minutes?
I know. Speaking of kickback, you'll get from having these are all a lot of big questions that we need to know the answers to. But we'll figure it out. Got it, Dimitri.
All right, guys, 𝗫𝗫 Show. We are at the ECC, Ontario, California, 2019, and look who I have here with me. ST Vapes, Mr. Scott Taylor. Scott, how's it going, buddy?
It's going good, brother. How you doing?
Good. You enjoying California?
Yes, so far.
Is this your first ECC?
No, it's actually not.
When was the last time that you were here?
Now, I was in Ontario. Last ECC I went to was in Detroit a couple of years ago, but this is my first time to Ontario.
Honestly, what do you think of the show?
You know, I'm actually kind of surprised because I'm used to coming to these shows and it being nothing but juice, but it's nothing but hardware here. If you're looking for juice, this might not be the place to come this time for once. So I'm happy to see that actually because the hardware is what you need to see too in this industry.
Absolutely. I think it's the only show in the U.S. that hasn't. For us techie guys, obviously, it's great that we're not seeing, just 3 milligram or 50 milligram liquid everywhere. We see some hardware. I'm also surprised, we haven't been coming to ECC for a couple of years because it had gotten, really out of hand with the booths but it does seem a lot more mature and toned down, at least for us, compared to other shows.
Definitely. Last event I was at was Mohegan, and again, more of a juice situation, barely any hardware, and the atmosphere here just seems different than what it's been at some of the other shows. But we are just at the beginning of this, but so far I'm happy with everything.
Awesome. Speaking of hardware, of course, you made the announcement this past week. You're working with Sense, a great company. We've known Michael and Nick for years. They're just a fantastic group of people to work with. What made you want to collaborate with him to come up with a hardware device?
Well, first of all, I've been working with Michael for a good while over the years, doing reviews for him and just, throwing things off each other. And we started talking about 6 months back, and I said, hey, what about maybe us doing a pod system together? He was down for that, so I gave him my drawings, my work on it. they started working on it, and here we are.
All right, so let's talk about the device itself. Here it is in our hands. These are obviously prototypes here. We do have a working one in his pocket, but let's talk a little bit about the device. So what was your thinking behind creating this?
So first of all, I wanted a device that wasn't the same shape as every pod system you see out on the market. Typically, they're all flat, you know, the tip to them, everything's just flat on. I wanted something more that replicated a cigarette, something that, you know, a nice mouth to lung draw on it. I don't want something that's, you know, open lung, anything like that. I'm looking for the new smoker. That's what I'm looking for. I think y'all have kind of got my mindset thinking that we're looking for the people out there that are smoking cigarettes to get them off of it, get them into vaping. And something like direct lung, I don't think is really the answer. I know I started off mouth to lung. Y'all have held true to mouth to lung. And since I've kind of been reborn again with this and enjoying this, I thought of doing this system right here.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the technical. I really do like the round mouthpiece. It kind of looks like a cigarette. It feels like a cigarette. Let's talk a little bit about the technical specs, some batteries, some resistance, and what you're thinking behind the power to the coil.
So I wanted something that was going to be at least 500 milliamp or above for somebody that's going to vape on it pretty hard all day, but this does have 650 milliamp. It's going to come with a 1 ohm mesh coil to it. Again, we're still working on the resistance, well, not the resistance, the airflow to it, because it's a little too airy at the moment. I want it pulled back a little bit, but I don't want you sucking on this thing like crazy trying to get something out of it. Yeah. I'm looking for that perfect airflow on it. So we're working on that. This was something that was done that I didn't realize was going to happen, but this will not be on the retail version. We're not doing lanyards on there. It's just something I don't think that people are really looking for.
Yeah.
To me, a pod is just something you can throw in your pocket. And let me correct myself, because I know there's some people that are going to say it's an AIO. It's not a true pod system. AIO. So it does have replaceable coils to it.
So you'll be able to replace the coil and you just pull out your pod. What is the capacity for the liquid?
It's going to have 1.6 mil of juice in it. I was hoping for a little bit more, but of course, if you want more, you're going to have to make it a little bit taller. And I think it's perfect height as it is. It's 121 millimeters tall. To me, it feels good in the hand. It's something you can almost let hang out of your mouth if you want to, if you're one of those types. But like I said, a few more changes coming. We're looking around the 1st of October to have retail version out on the market. So if everything goes as planned, October looks like it's going to be the date on it.
You can always put an aftermarket lanyard or something you can just slide in, whatever. Sure. You don't have to put it on the device. I think it looks really, really good. I really like the feel of it. I like the tip of it, and I can't wait to start vaping on it. And you know, the 𝗧𝗵𝗄 show is all about devices like this. What can we recommend to smokers to discover vaping and enjoy vaping the way that we enjoy vaping as well too? So more of these products that come onto the market, it's great. And if we had a little bit of something to do to influence the direction that we're going to bring back to the basics and bring more smokers, we're more proud. And we're very proud of you for taking this step, and we wish you nothing but success.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank both of y'all.
And you know, Dimitri, can you hear me okay? Am I muted?
No, you're good.
Okay. You know, I know a lot of people were really uncomfortable having Scott talk to them, like actually facing the camera. So I've decided, for those people who felt a little uncomfortable by that, I've decided to do the rest of the Smoker Show like this, and I hope people don't mind.
Can I tell you a little secret for those that are watching, just between me and you, the audience? I can't tell you how many times a reviewer said, you influenced a little bit for us to go back and look at some of the stuff I was doing. I take that as a compliment.
I take it as a compliment too. But it's very interesting. It is very interesting how a lot of these reviewers are going back to mouth to lung and starting to focus on the smokers. I find that very, very interesting.
It's a good thing. I take it as a positive thing. Whether it's the marketing thing now because it's the in thing to do. I think that's irrelevant. I think if somebody is proud enough to turn to me and say, "Hey, Dimitri, what you told me last year resonated," whether it's true or not, I'll take it as a compliment. Yeah, we did see a couple of cool things at CBD, at ECC, but we did see a lot of CBD as well too. We did see a lot of CBD, right?
Yeah.
So we did an unusual experiment just for the name of science at ECC, and I'd like to play that clip for you right now, and then we can discuss it a little bit more.
Here we go.
So somebody gave me. Are we recording right now? I'm having Chinese blueberries. Somebody gave me. I don't know. Okay. So somebody gave me a bag of CBD gummies yesterday, right? Yeah. And they were the strong ones. They had two bags. They had the red bag and they had the white bag. And the red bag were the strong ones. So I got to my room last night, and like sometimes I'm a late night snacker. I'm not gonna lie to you, right? And the only thing I got to eat are these gummies. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have some gummies. I ate the whole damn bag. I ate the whole damn bag.
That's a big bag too.
Of CBD gummies, right? Nothing.
You feel nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Nothing.
Crazy.
And then after I ate the little gummy bears, I was like, well, there's like a bag of rings too. I'm like, I wonder what the rings taste like. So I had some of those too. Nothing. I felt nothing.
Well,
I felt nothing.
The poor Chinese girl is looking at you like, what the hell are you talking about? But to follow up that statement, the next day at the show, after he had an entire bag of gummy CBDs, it was a big bag, folks. I'm not lying. He ate the whole bag. The next day, his back was hurting. I was like, hold on a second. Somebody told me about this CBD here. Like, this is the best CBD. It was like 3,000 milligram. I went and got a bottle, and I took out a whole tincture. I mean, a whole dropper full, and I put it under his tongue. And then we ate some more CBD. We ate some dried food with CBD. We ate some peach rings with CBD at a booth.
And we tried more of the tincture over at that other booth, and
more
that was really
tincture of the
strong
other one.
because I could taste the terpenes in it.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Right.
Yeah.
And what did it do for you?
Nothing. Absolutely not a thing.
I'm not saying CBD doesn't work, folks. I'm just saying that this is our experience with it.
However, I do have diabetes now.
Yeah.
Which is okay because I heard CBD cures
CBD
that.
does help with that. there's a version.
We're not taking anything away from CBD. If
Absolutely
CBD
not. No.
is helping you, if it's working for you, if it's doing something for you, okay.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I do want to address a comment. It's nice to see ST Vapes on this program, ST Vapes products on this product. Listen, the Smoker Show has hardware sponsors, obviously, and we're very thankful to Inikin and Joytech, and hopefully one more company that's come on board. This is how we're able to get product to send out to smokers, okay? And we always showcase the products from our sponsors, but that does not mean that we're not going to show other products that are on the market as well too, because at the end of the day, it's about helping people quit smoking. And if you're about helping,
we talked about the Aspire Breeze 2, the NXT. We talk about all kinds of product on the show, not just our sponsors.
And if it is about helping people quit smoking, we show everything here. Speaking of showing everything here, let's take a quick break and we'll be back with more ECC coverage. And I see comments about CBD with THC. Yeah, I mean, at that point, why even bother with CBD? Why don't you just go straight for THC and just get it over with, in my opinion. But anyway, yeah, that was our experience there. Speaking of our experience there, we did see a couple of cool things. There was just a lot of the same pod system, a lot of Orion lookalikes, and a lot, yeah.
And let's go to we'll go to V sticking next, but what I wanted to mention is the pump. We're going to pump now. Dimitri and I are going to pump. We're going to pump you up.
Yes.
Because there are three products. Actually, there's a few more, but there are three products. They are virtually the same. Okay. There's the new SX Mini. Okay, this one, the SX Auto. Okay, so this one's not available yet. This one's not ready to go, but this uses a pump. There's the new IPV V3 Mini, okay? And I know this has been reviewed out there, right? But, I'm always late to the game on the reviews. That's okay. I don't care. This one uses a pump. And then there's and by the way, All the same company too. I don't know if you know this, but we're seeing a lot of these Chinese manufacturers come up with these new company names. It's all the same. They're all under the same umbrella, right? So 𝗃𝗏𝗏, IPV, which is Pioneer for You, right? And V-sticking, all 𝗃𝗽, right? And they're putting out 3 of the virtually the same products. And we're going to talk about that product a little bit right now.
Before we do that, I saw one question that Bill posted. Would it be good to get you two to come and help with some advocacy? Please watch the project debate and you will understand why I asked. I don't know who asked that, Bill, but you're asking me to help with advocacy? What do you think I've been doing all my life? I mean, I don't know what you want me to do, but more than what I'm doing, I've dedicated my volunteer vaping life to advocacy. So I'm not quite sure where that comment came from, but if you don't know what I've done in this industry, look it up. And so anyway, so here's the V-stick in. Make sure I get this frame correctly.
Get it framed correctly.
Here's V-sticking showing us pump you up.
So here we are with V-sticking. Tell me about V-sticking, because you guys got a hold of me a little while ago. You told me you had some new product coming out.
Yeah.
You're a relatively new company coming out of China with electronic cigarettes?
V-sticking is the new company, new brand from 𝗃𝗽. So we are.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Is it
You-
𝗃𝗽 or
Yeah.
𝗃𝗽?
𝗃𝗽 or 𝗃𝗽, the same thing. Okay. So 𝗃𝗽 now is on 3 brands. 𝗃𝗏𝗏 high-end, V-sticking is a middle price range, and IPV. Now we have the newest products, new innovations products. When you see this shape, it's like IPV Visa Mini, yeah?
Yes.
By the way, I do want to make a comment here. She just grabbed that mic right out of Phil's hands.
Well,
and
hold
she
on.
just
No,
went
no,
to
no,
town.
no, Keep watching. You didn't watch the whole thing to the end.
IPV has a version of this.
Yes.
𝗃𝗽 has a version, but not out yet.
Now, yeah.
Yeah.
For V-sticking, but SS Mini still no launch.
Still not ready. I know,
Yes.
still not ready, but this is ready now.
No, we're gonna launch on the end of September.
End of September,
Yes.
this one's coming.
So our function almost the same as the XO2.
Almost the same, okay.
Yeah, we support the DIY mode. So we have a 2 working mode.
Okay.
And IPV just the auto mode.
Okay, IPV
So-
is just the auto mode.
Yes, we
This one has 2 modes. It's gonna have
It's
the
DIY
auto
mode.
and the
Like
DIY
this
mode.
disposable
I
atomizer.
hold it so
Okay,
you
sorry.
can do good.
The disposable atomizer also can use on the DIY mode. So you
Okay.
can adjust the wattage what you like,
Okay.
like from the 10 to 35 wattage.
Okay. So
Yeah.
tell me the difference between DIY mode and auto mode. What's the
Auto
difference?
mode is already set up the P1 and P2. Like P1 here we mentioned is the 20 to 25 is for MI 211,
Okay.
nickel and alloy. This one is for the regular e-liquid.
Okay.
Okay, and this coil 1.0 on the SS316 is for nicotine source.
Okay.
So our device is okay for the regular e-liquid and the nicotine salt.
Okay.
So for the DIY mode, you need to set up the TCR. It depends on your coils.
Okay,
And
so DIY is like temperature control.
yes, it's both has a temperature control.
Both has temperature control.
Yes.
Okay.
So DIY only different thing is you can adjust about the wattage from 10 to 35, but the auto mode you can't change the wattage.
Okay.
So,
So
yeah.
like I'm a tech guy and I'm confused as fuck right now, but that's okay. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it
But
out for you guys.
usually
And when I do the review, I'll explain it all to you. As soon as I
Yeah,
figure it out, I'll explain it to you.
Usually we suggest we
Okay.
recommend all the disposable atomizer just use on the auto mode. So
Okay.
DIY, the rebuildable RDA, we suggest just use it on the DIY
Okay.
mode. This
So
the
I think that's
difference
important to point out too, though. These atomizers, I mean, first of all, they're a very, very small atomizer,
Yeah.
right? So these are going to be really, they're going to produce good flavor.
Yeah,
I mean,
just-
that's the idea
Yeah,
of this atomizer.
I
right?
think this is good for the starter.
Yes.
It's so easy and simple.
And it's also a mouth-to-lung style device, right? So it's good for that cigarette simulation,
yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
yes, you're right.
And they're going to be available in both disposable versions,
Yes,
okay,
yes, yes.
with a couple different resistances, yeah.
Yes,
And they're
too.
also going to be available in a rebuildable version
Yes,
too,
yes,
correct?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So this is what do you say? End of September, you think?
Yeah, end of September.
End of September.
Release.
Okay, and and they're going to give us a couple, and we're going to take a look at this. Colors and price. So I know we have a bunch of colors, and some of the colors aren't finished yet, right? So we have some colors up here on the wall. We have some colors over here in front of us. It looks like multiple colors, multiple patterns. There's going to be gunmetals, there's going to be silvers, there's going to be blacks, there's going to be different patterns.
Yeah, silver is with a brush finishing. It's looks more high end.
Yeah, they do. They look very, very nice. And of course, the special thing about these is that they auto feed the e-liquid, right?
Yes,
I mean, they auto. There's like a pump system in there, and they're pushing the e-liquid up.
Pump e-liquid up and pump liquid down.
Right. So for people like me who have a squonk, but they forget to squonk, this one does it all by itself, right?
Yes.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. What's the price point on this? What do you think?
The MSRP is about $19.
$19?
90.
Oh, $90. Like $19.
No.
Oh my God.
90.
So $90. Okay. Yes. So we're looking forward to trying this. Now let's go to something a little bit simpler. You have this device too, right? Very, very simple, very, very easy to use, right? Tell us about this device. What is this device called? 𝗃𝗀 pod stick.
Yeah, it's utilizing the 𝗃_SX296J chip cells. It's a temperature control, dry heat protection.
Okay.
And the battery capacity is 1200 mAh, and the adjustable voltage two power.
Okay.
P1 and P2. P2 is 12 to 17 wattage.
Okay, so you're using temperature control and you're using wattage settings on it as well.
Yes, and the dry heat protection.
And dry heat protection.
Yeah, because you put inside, you can't see the e-liquid.
Right, that's right.
So this is the main reason why we need to make it dry heat protection. Otherwise, it's gonna burn the voice.
Okay, and these pods,
adjustable airflow.
So the pods do have adjustable airflow.
Yeah, airflow here.
Okay, now.
And the side the liquid.
Side filling liquid.
Liquid,
okay.
Yes.
And the now.
The capacity is 2 ml.
2 mil capacity.
Yeah.
But these pods, are the coils built into the pod? So in other words.
No, it's disposable.
So the whole pod is disposable, right? Yes. So the coil is in there, and it's part of the pod, right? Okay.
You can direct the vaping. You don't need to press the button.
Okay.
Directly.
So can I go ahead? Oh, so it's automatic and push button. Oh, okay. So it's both an automatic and a manual.
You can also press button. Both you can, if you like.
Okay, so I can. So kind of like the 𝗵𝗲 NXT that I just reviewed. This is going to be very, very similar. It's either manual, you can push the button on it, or automatic. Just the act of sucking will activate this device. So a couple of new exciting products from V-Sticking, part of the new, I guess, under the 𝗃𝗽 umbrella. And we welcome you to the industry. Lots of luck with all your products, and I look forward to getting them and reviewing them. So thank you guys. Thank you for talking to me.
Yeah, the V-Sticking is a.
She just took the microphone. She just took it away. No, go ahead.
Okay, no, you stay here. Oh no.
A couple of things. Well, boy, she was all over you. A couple of things. One thing you're gonna see, and me and Phil are gonna. We're in the works of planning something for you guys. I don't think we should make the announcement today, but when we start taking a look at the auto, what we call it a pump, it's not really a pump system, but when we start looking at that device, because I've played around a little bit with it, it's a great device, but it really is not very beginner friendly, because to get the hit that you like, there's a lot of fiddling. The preset settings are not good on these devices. Keep in mind that this is China that's programming them, and there's a lot of user DIY mode, as they call it, that you really have to go. Keep in mind that we have temperature control, we have wattage, and we have an auto feeding system. Those are 3 things that you have to explain to a new user. We don't recommend this for a new person. We really don't, because when you get it out of the box, you're not going to get a satisfying hit unless you're able to fiddle around with it. And for somebody that's new, I'd rather give them the pod, the V-Stick and pod that they had there, than give them the auto pump device.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with you. Like, even when she was going through it, like I figured it out later what she was talking about when she said the DIY mode versus the standard mode. The standard mode is just for use with their standard coils. I didn't think they're using a nickel, which I don't agree with at this point in the game. I'm thinking they should be using a stainless steel. But when you go into DIY mode, you can use the RBA head, and you can use any material, and then you can set a TCR value. So
Correct.
I understand now after watching that.
Correct.
But boy, when I was doing the interview, I'm like, oh, what is she talking about? Yeah. So
Correct.
like,
Correct.
Using for me, imagine like the average smoker, right?
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why we do this show, and one of the reasons why we need simpler product out there for smokers,
right.
To not be confused.
And how we suggest these products on this show, I think, is critical on how you, as vapors, if you are vaping as well too, you relay that to smokers as well too. That's our goal here, is to guide you, make sure that you get the correct devices. Speaking of devices for smokers, oh, by the way, I did see the comment that that person was talking about advocacy in Australia. And I do understand. I was on the Three Amigos show last week, and I talked about the struggles in Australia, and I do really feel for you. I really don't know what possibly me and Phil could do to change the. I mean, we could come and talk to officials. We've done this in other countries as well too. We've done it in China. We've done it in Ireland. We've done it in the UK. We can come and spread the word as much as we possibly can. But once again, I mean, what are we gonna do? Book tickets and fly to Australia? I mean, it's just not. You have to understand our situation as well. We can't solve all the world's problems, but if there's anything beyond that we can do, you're more than welcome to reach out to me privately and see if there's anything that more that we could possibly do. All right. Speaking of smokers, obviously Inikin, one of our sponsors, true to the smokers and always trying to design devices that are going to help people transition. And we do have a little clip of the booth and the way that we were set up in at ECC, Ontario, California.
Yeah, so this is just the Inikin booth. You guys can take a look here. They were really showing the Adept and the Go Max tanks. There's the Adept and some water, showing off its waterproof capabilities there. There's the gem pen, some beeps, some cool fires. Those were some of the cases they were giving away.
All right, we're here at the Inikin booth, ECC 2019, and we're having a really fun game going on. We have a little wheel here. You spin it, and you can win a lot of wonderful prizes. You know, a gem pen, an Adept kit, a whole case from Inikin. It's pretty cool. But if it lands on this particular box right here, look at this. You get a golden shower from Phil. Oh, that was nasty.
Dimitris, so many
funny though.
That
was funny. It was nasty, but it was pretty funny. You got it.
So listen, we have a couple more things to do tonight, and I want to figure out if you want to do them both or not. I know we have a Geek Vape interview, and we have to give away the Adept.
And I have to play one more sponsor message. And since we were just talking about,
we might run a little bit late tonight. That's okay. Go ahead.
Just a few minutes, and but we will be right back. No. I'm just letting the music play out. It was kind of like intro into us.
So do you want to do that one more interview, and then we'll find out who won the Adept and wrap it up?
Yeah, and I'm glad that we did this. Don't think that it's just pods. There were a few devices there, but I think we picked one the one that people would want to see, and because of the uniqueness of what it is. So I definitely want to play this clip. Just to show you that it was not just pods. There were a few devices, and the one that I think that stood out for both me and Phil was the new ages. So
yeah. Before you do that, do you remember the caller that we had last week, Joe?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just saw a comment here from Joe. All right. And Joe said, because we sent Joe a nice prize pack, or not a prize pack, but something to try to help him quit.
From the sponsors here, yeah.
And what Joe says is, I tried all 3 flavors of Juno you sent me. I could not stand any of them. They smell strange and leave a bad aftertaste. So to Joe, first of all, you're welcome. Second of all, we did send you some other things too, so we would like to hear from you on those other things. Okay, so that's my comment to Joe. All right, let's go ahead and play that video.
All righty.
Hey folks, 𝗵𝗲 ECC 2019, Ontario. Boy, am I impressed with this show. I mean, like, what a turnaround. It's really fantastic. And I am here with Dana. Okay. I'm like messing everything. Dana. But so we have a new Aegis, okay? We know Geek Vape, very, very popular, the Aegis product, right? Shockproof, waterproof, dustproof, Dimitri-proof, all kinds of proofs. They started with the original Aegis, and then it was the Aegis the Dual, and then it was the Aegis Mini, and the Aegis Side, the Aegis Upside Down, the Aegis like Side. But now we have the Aegis Home Theater Edition. Look at the size of that screen. That is a big, big screen. That is a big, bright, beautiful screen. And the good news with this device, so we've gone back to a dual battery device, right? So it's a little bit on the wide side, but it still maintains the dustproof, the shockproof, the waterproof, right? So if you are ever like stuck in a submarine and you can't like find your way around, you could use that screen and it'll take you through the sub. Tell us what else is going on with this device.
It's the most important Aegis series product this year, and we believe it will be hit the markets like the Aegis Legend and other Aegis products. And this one, I can show you how to change. We have a big screen, but still waterproof, shotproof. It's hard to make it shotproof with a big screen. Like our phone, it's easy to crack.
Right.
But this screen is much stronger than the phone screen.
Are there any new features with this, or is it just kind of like the same as the Legend, only with the big screen?
It has a new feature, and it has an auto battery balancing.
Auto battery balancing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which means when you charge the mod with the pod. Yeah. So when two battery has different wattage, they can charge each other to make it equal.
So it's got balanced charging.
Yeah.
Okay. So and what I like on this one too, if you take a close look, so I always have a kind of a problem getting these covers open when I want to charge the device. But this one, it's got a little lip on here.
That's because you have sausage fingers.
Quite easy to open. So my compliments on that design right there. Right. And if we remember the original Aegis, you could not charge it because it had an upgrade port, but you had to unscrew everything to get to the port. This one does have onboard charging. What's the wattage on this?
200.
200 watts.
Yeah.
Okay, you know I'm going to test that, right?
No.
Okay, and you're going to send me one for review?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, fantastic. So there it is, the new Aegis, and this is the Aegis X, right? The X version, also known as the Aegis home theater version. Look at the size of that thing. Can we watch movies on this, like on the airplane? Because we should. You should be able to. The Aegis X coming soon. When is it coming?
20 September.
So about September, like end of September.
Yeah, kind of.
End of September. Daniel is shooting me, shooting you, shooting me. What's going on? Look at that. Yeah. And as usual, Daniel's camera equipment is like far superior to ours. Far superior to ours.
Can we use his footage?
Actually, we will. Well, Daniel, can I use your B footage for my video? Okay, beautiful. All right, thank you. Thank you. Lots of luck with the product. Aegis X. Dana.
Okay.
By the way, big ups to 𝗃𝗪𝗏 because he got in late Monday night and he did get these videos edited for your enjoyment today. So thank you, Phil, for doing that.
Every single one of them. Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. And by the way, I saw some comments there. Great, something else to break with that big screen. We did talk to her. That's not part of this video, or it wasn't part of that interview video, but she said there's actually a special coating on there to make it so that the screen is shock proof too. Now, how true that is, of course, we can't comment because we don't have one in our hand to test.
Correct.
Right. But she said that the screen is actually stronger than a cell phone screen.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's some information.
Yeah. So I guess it'll just take, real world testing and see how that how that works out. But in any case, I do want to say I have a Facebook Live that we did from there with Daniel on my Facebook page. It's public. It was a really good conversation, and I really enjoyed hanging out with Daniel and Matt from Suck My Mod and some other guys I haven't seen in a while. But that conversation, I think, with Daniel is very important. Even if you're a smoker, or if you're a new vapor, or just an existing vapor, go on Facebook and take a look at that. A couple more comments. Proton Mini is coming. We saw the prototype. It looks really, really good, guys. It's just one of these devices that I'm going to be using all the time, with one of my mouth-to-line tanks. And
as a matter of fact, I'm sorry, Dimitri, in that live that Dimitri's talking about, you will see the Proton Mini. We talked about the Proton Mini. We talked about the new MVP.
That's
MVP coming
5.
out. You'll see that in that video. You will see, I think the Aries 2 makes an appearance in that video.
Yeah.
The new the Zzlide, you've seen it before. The Zzlide 24mm makes an appearance in that video, and the new Zenith Pro makes an appearance in that video too. And there it is, right there in a real quick shot. So we did that live, and if you want to see some of the new products that we have and Inikin has coming out, do take a look at that live, and we'll try to repost it up higher so that you guys can take
one of my favorite pictures from ECC is this one right here with our good buddy George, newly trimmed George. He's looking really good, Phil.
I'm telling you, you look at you two and then look at me next to you two. What a disaster.
He put us both to shame. He's done a great job. But George is one of these people that we absolutely love. It's one of the reasons why we work with Inikin. He truly believes in tobacco harm reduction, and we haven't seen him in a while, so we get to spend some time with him, go to dinner with him. We had an amazing dinner, and it was just nice hanging out with him. And so
we're so jazzed to be working with a company like Inikin. I've known George for a long time. I've known George since before he was with Inikin. He was with Vogue actually before Inikin. I've known him since then, and I mean, it's great that we're working with them. And we do have a working relationship with them, but we've also become friends with these people too, and not just George, but with the other folks from Inikin. And we're really lucky to be working with a company like Inikin.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we did do a contest last week on the Smoker Show, 2 weeks ago, and the contest was, what was the contest, Phil?
Guess how many Dimitris there are on this shirt, this lovely, beautiful shirt that Dimitri sent me. He sends me a Facebook. He's like, "Hey Phil, I just keep an eye on the mail. I sent you a shirt that I think you're gonna like. You can wear it at ECC." I'm like, "Oh, that's really cool. Thanks very much." And then the package came in. I'm like, "Oh, good, because it's almost time for ECC." And I open up the package, and that's what I got. Right there.
So the contest was how many Dimitris was on the shirt, and Phil graciously sat one entire evening with little stickers to count how many. Dimitris as well.
Because I'm trying to figure out how the hell am I going to count Dimitris heads, which is disturbing, by the way. Okay, I'm scarred for life. So I started using a ruler, and then that didn't work, and then I used like a level, and that didn't work. So I started ripping out little tiny pieces of paper, and I put them on every single Dimitris head on the shirt. Loser.
So that's I think it's a wonderful time to spend your evening, if you ask me, honestly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna go over to this screen right here.
Yeah, let me put you on the big screen here.
There's some interesting stuff on this. Oh wait, I gotta move it over a little bit. Okay, hold on, let me do that. There we go. Because there's some interesting stuff on this screen here. First of all, Jose, who's been like a freak on the chat tonight.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna explode if I don't announce the winner. Okay.
Yeah.
Jose, first of all, you entered twice, buddy. You can't do that.
So you're disqualified immediately.
That's number one. And number two, Jose, one of his guesses was 540, which, okay. But his other guess was 1,111 Dimitris. 1,000. Let me go back to this.
Phil, let me tell you something. I am looking to create a shirt with that number on it. Just to warn you.
Jose, if you think I am going to count 1,111 Dimitri heads, you're insane. You're crazy. You're out of your mind. It's just not going to happen. It was disturbing. This many was disturbing. 1,111 Dimitris. You just put me in the mental hospital right now.
That's a lot of head.
That's all right, hold on. Let me go back here.
All right, let me switch you back here.
You got to go back.
I got you.
I can leave it. No, okay. All right. So, what is the correct number of Dimitris? And we have a very clear winner. So even if my count is off a little bit, it's okay. The correct number of Dimitris was 188. 188.
Scroll up that list so we can see all the answers if you don't mind, because it's just showing the bottom. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, there we go. 50, 69, 69.
Yeah.
But so that's why we have a very clear winner, because we have Karen O, who said 176, and the next answer is 220. So I am very, very confident that Karen O is the big wiener.
Yes.
Congratulations, Karen O. So what you have to do, Karen O, you got to get a hold of me. I hope that you're watching this. I hope that somebody you know is watching this. I hope somebody gets a hold of you and tells you to get a hold of me so that we can get an adept out in the mail for you.
I was going to put the, if you want to switch your camera, I will switch it. There you go. Okay, why isn't that working? No,
I know you're going to attempt to put my email address down there?
No, I got you. Hold on just a second. Let me just fix the color real quick. Text color is going to be this.
Oh, okay. Dimitri's doing something, right? He's doing something very, very important.
Yes, I'm fixing it.
Big wiener, Karen O.
All right, so they have to email you. They have to email you right there.
There you go. Very good. Good job, Dimitri.
With the same...
Karen O. You gotta go ahead and email me, Karen.
Whoop, hold on. I misspelled your website.
Wait,
I did it in a hurry. I'm sorry.
Tastejuice.com.
I'm sorry.
Tastejuice.com.
I'm sorry. I'll fix that.
There's somebody probably buying that website right now.
I will fix it. Just give me 1 second. It's taste.
No, you gotta take all the time you need, really.
Okay, I fixed it. There you go. TasteYourJuice.com.
TasteYourJuice.com.
So people start at TasteYourJuice.com. If you have won, congratulations to the big wiener. I will send you an adept kit, full adept kit in black. I think I have it. And just get us your information. And make sure you do it before the end of next week, because we will be flying out again. Imagine that, right? We will be in Greece for the 𝗧𝗵𝗲, the vaping exhibition for professionals in Athens at the 𝘃𝗽𝗲 Olympic Stadium, 21st and 22nd of September, Phil. How exciting. We're going back to the motherland.
It is. It's very exciting because you have planned a vacation, a little mini romantic vacation for us in there as well.
Yes, we have a 3-day vacation. Well, I'm planning a 3-day vacation for us. We're going to shoot a lot of video for you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun moments. We're going to try to have these mobile cams with us as well, too. I think it's just going to be, I'm really, really excited for it. Hopefully we get a lot of good footage, but
I'm bringing the quad. I'm bringing the quadcopter with me. I'm bringing the underwater camera with me. So we're bringing it all.
By the way, but what I'm mostly excited about, and I know this is in Greek and you guys probably won't understand it, we will do another smoker show live from Greece. We're going to try to convert 20 Greek smokers into vapers. We're going to provide them 𝗀𝗍𝗀𝗍 EQ, and we're going to provide them with 𝗃𝗍𝗍𝗍, which is a tobacco liquid line that I have in Greece. And we're hoping to convert 20 of them. Unfortunately, the show was not as gracious as Ira was. And when I hear people asking questions on, oh, logistically, how are we going to do this? Oh, how are we going to do that? What if vapers get the devices? What if this? It means to me that the organizers are just out to make money. And, listen, I don't care. It's your business. I'm not going to criticize that. But instead of doing it with a show, I'm doing it with my own company, which is Liquid Puff in Greece. And, of course, in support from Inikin that believes a lot in what we're doing. So we're going to do it at my booth. So from 11 to 2 on Sunday, this is the window. Bring a smoker, if you're in Greece, to our booth there. And then we're going to provide them with education and a starter kit for them to try vaping. So very, very excited to do that. Yes, I'm always excited to do that in a show, more so than going to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I was looking at my my desktop, and I have some really I have disturbing files too. Like this file right here, it's an Excel spreadsheet, and it's called Dimitris Heads.xl.
Dimitris Heads.
That's really disturbing.
That's really disturbing. But make sure you guys. We're gonna do a smoker show from Greece because the next episode falls right when we're gonna be at Greece. So we're gonna figure out some way to fill in this slot. We want to make sure that we put an episode out there every 2 weeks. So since we're going to be in Greece, it falls, on a Tuesday. We're going to be available with good internet. We're going to go to the store. We'll figure out something, maybe have some surprises for you. But the next smoker show will happen from Greece.
And we have a lot of stuff coming up. We've got the smoker show. I mean, I'm going to be doing reviews here and there when I can. I've got more e-liquid companies sending me e-liquid, so there's going to be boat e-liquid reviews. Those are coming up. We have kind of a special announcement on something else that we're going to do to fill in those Tuesdays when we're not doing the smoker show.
Very excited.
We have a special hot tub video coming up with some big announcements. So we have a lot of stuff coming up. And we're gonna it's a challenge. It's a challenge, guys, because we also have a lot of travel coming up. As a matter of fact, Dimitri, can you pull up the travel schedule for us?
Well, I mean, I can pick up my flight list if you want to. I don't have the travel schedule, but I can explain to you where we're going on every flight if you want to.
Yeah, it's insane. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we're going to be in Greece the 21st and the 20th of September. And then, well, I don't know if I can pull this up, but hold on, let me see if I can.
We'll try
because it has
basically what I'm trying to explain is that we do have a lot of travel coming up, so it's a challenge to do the smoker show every other Tuesday. So if we miss a Tuesday or if we have to move it around, please bear with us, and to our sponsors as well, please bear with us as we try to give you as much content as we can.
So we're going to be in Athens for the VapExpo the 20th and 21st of September. Then we're going right to Paris, where we're coming back here. Then we're going to Paris for the VapExpo in Paris, France. That will be October the 4th, 5th, and 6th. Then we're coming back from Paris. We will be in Tampa Bay at the VMX, October the 12th and the 13th. Then I'm going to DC to meet with politicians, which is always fun. And then November the 7th, we're going to be in Rome for VAP Italy. All those are trips that are upcoming, so you can understand that, it becomes challenging. And then we have a couple more trips.
We may have Mexico.
Yes, we might have Mexico. We might have Germany as well, too. We're trying to see which dates and where we're going to go.
Korea.
And then we have Las Vegas VapExpo the 22nd of November. Korea is going to be next year. So, that's it.
And also, if we can make it happen, we have a really funny video too. I hope we can make that happen.
Yes, we're working on a lot of stuff.
I'm talking about that. That's going to be an epic video if we can make that one happen too.
All right. Yes, I wish I had a personal jet. No, unlike a lot of rumors that you hear, I do not have a personal jet, but I do wish one day that would be made available for me. Anyway, thanks for watching. We've gone way, way far, and we have a meeting now. That we're letting people wait. So, Phil, before we go, let's thank our wonderful sponsors, please.
Let's do that. Let's thank our wonderful sponsors, Inikin, who we work with close to make platform products. Thank you very much, Inikin, for the platform products and, of course, your products. Juno, thank you, Juno. They make that this is the little pod system with replaceable cartridges. Lunar Rover, of course, Lunar Rover. They make some really good e-liquids, higher nicotine, great stuff to get you started. Use coupon code 𝗧𝗵𝗲 to get 15% off of your Lunar Rover order over there at lunarrover.com. NVS, my vapor store, great online retailer for electronic cigarettes. If you use coupon code MTL10, you're going to get 10% off of our platform products. Of course, the folks from Five Pawns. I'm all Five Pawned up. We heard from Five Pawns tonight. I got the Five Pawns T-shirt. I got the Five Pawns mug. Five Pawns.
You're all about that Five Pawns.
Well, I'm very happy they re-signed with us with the Smoker Show, and I'm excited. They think it's a very, very important thing that we're doing, and I like that. And of course, our friends over at Joytech also re-signed with the Smoker Show. They think it's a great effort that we're doing here. So thank you to all of our sponsors, and remember, please, you guys thank our sponsors as well and support our sponsors. That's a great way to thank our sponsors is by supporting our sponsors.
Very well done. Very well done, Phil.
I try.
That's it. That's all we had. I hope you enjoyed the segment with Father Jack Kearney. Just a wonderful human being. Okay, aside from everything that he does, he's just a wonderful human being.
Really
and it
is.
was just really nice to see him again and chat up.
Again, I'm going to say it again, Dimitri. I'm going to say it again because you think a father, a priest, and like, oh God, you got to be good, and you got to be like, you got to be a certain way around him. You don't have to be that way.
Correct.
He's so down to earth. He's so cool, and you could bust balls with him just like you can with everybody else. And I think if more people, truly, okay, I think if more priests and people, in the clergy were like that. I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe religion would be more popular.
Yeah, even maybe you would go to church. But I do want you to remember the one question that we asked him and his answer. If you know an adult smoker today and they've tried all the available NRT methods out there and everything that is suggested, recommended, or even promoted by your government, and they have failed to quit smoking, there's absolutely no reason for them to try a product that's been proven scientifically at least 95% less harmful than traditional combustible cigarettes. And that, my friend,
evidence-based.
One more reason why you should help your friends and family switch to vaping. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.